Hello friends, welcome to Akulmach Live and my name is Chandrakant. Today we want to discuss something about being happy and how we can be happy in today's world. To have this discussion, I'll be joined by a celebrity from UK. So don't go anywhere. I'll be joining back along with my guest just in a moment. Welcome back, friends, and we have Mr. Naval Gun joining us from UK. He is a chairman of Mindfit Limited, and we have a very important topic to discuss with him, which is how to be happy. So, welcome to the show, Naval.
Good morning, CK. Good morning, everybody. How to be happy? Be happy. Just be happy. Can't you just be happy? You're smiling, CK, so you must be happy, aren't you?
I am happy, but I think in today's environment, when people are living in confined places, not able to roam out freely, they have to, handle each other, the entire family. There is no outlet except the family members. So I think this is a very good subject to be discussed and provide some sort of solution to people who are watching, our viewers basically, to see how they can be happy, really happy, not superficially happily. So I think that is where I'm coming from, Naval.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. There's lots of pressures on people. Certain parts of the world are still in lockdown. My friends in Melbourne are now in their 6th lockdown. They'll soon be in double figures if we keep going at this rate. And so there are lots of reasons why it's difficult to be happy. But let's look at the basics here. Happiness is a feeling. So you feel happy, and people are very different. Some people feel happy with simple things. Some people have to do very complicated things and then feel happy. But the point I'm just making is it's the consequence of something happening that makes you happy. You don't just wake up happy. You might wake up and say, "Oh, I had a great night's sleep." That might make you happy, but it's a consequence. Does that make sense, CK?
Well, absolutely. Actually, the whole problem is that we can get up being happy. I had a very good night's sleep, and hence I'm happy. So I think one of the solution is you should have a good night's sleep to be happy next morning. But then, how can we happy at all times, not sad at all times, whatever the situation may be? Even if there is something going wrong, things are going south, we should be happy. We should not be losing our cool. I think that is where I'm coming from, and that's a very big question, Neville, but I think that is what we want to discuss today: how to be happy irrespective of whatever the situation that you're dealing with.
Yeah, it is a big question, but the interesting thing is a lot of people actually think it's too big a question to ask, and therefore they don't answer it. But the reality is you just have to think about yourself. So, for instance, getting a good night's sleep is a good way of starting the day in a good mood, okay? Because happiness is a mood. So if you're going to be in a good mood, get a good night's sleep. But that doesn't necessarily work for everybody, because I like waking up early. If I don't wake up, I work up before the alarm goes off, because I've almost conditioned my brain to say it's 5:45 and the alarm goes off in 5 minutes time and you better wake up. And when I wake up before the alarm goes off, I sort of look across to the time and I think, oh, done it again. It gives me a sort of an inner accomplishment, that feeling of I've beaten the clock again. And bizarrely, then when the alarm goes off, it feels like it's hours later. So I've gone typically back into a deep sleep for 5 minutes, which sounds crazy, really, doesn't it? But the thing is, when I then hear the alarm and I hit the snooze button, it makes me feel great, believe it or not. Not every single day, but most days. So the thing is what makes you feel good? You've got to ask yourself that question. So when it comes to me, when it's raining outside, a lot of people think, oh, it's raining. And the mood drops. Whereas when I look outside and I see it's raining, sometimes I think, oh, it's a nice time to go for a walk with an umbrella. Because there's that freshness in the air when that rain's coming down, and certainly after the rain. It might even be after a heat wave, in which case there's a huge sigh of relief across everybody when they realise actually that's automatic air conditioning from above, which is really good news. When you go for a walk in the sunshine, a lot of people, get really hot and they don't enjoy the walk because they're constantly sweating and they haven't put sunshade on or sun cream on. And they then say it was quite a miserable walk because it was too hot. So we're always finding things that change our mood. So there's just a few things. Food is another huge happiness arena. And it's not all food, but it's the food you like. So when you're preparing that food, have you got a big smile on your face? I can see you've got a smile on your face now because you're even thinking of the concept of food, whether what you've just eaten or what you're about to eat later on today. So all of these little things that we do make us happy. So let's talk about little things, CK, because it's a combination of all these little things that we do every single day, typically every single minute of the day, and it makes us happy. But we don't actually celebrate it. We don't even know that it makes us happy. So what makes you happy? The little things.
Well, all of this that you mentioned, a good food, a good sleep, a good news, order closure makes me very happy, because I'm running an organization. So if I close a deal, it makes me happy. So simple things like that. And if the kid actually basically score good marks in their exam, I feel very happy. And things like that. So I think there are many reasons to be happy actually for me.
Excellent. And what you said is things make you happy. So happiness is a consequence of something happening. So a happening is a happiness, which is quite crazy, really, because it's both happened. But that's a different story. But as I say, it's about literally doing something that changes the mood, that improves the mood. So what about when you're dehydrated? Are you in a good mood?
Well, if I am thirsty or hungry, definitely my mood will be slightly off. So I need to be hydrated all the time to be in happy mood.
So consequently, you drink regularly. That makes you happy. In fact, it probably stops you being moody or having a bad mood. So it's all of these little things that we do that we don't actually recognize. Like when you're walking, when you're out walking and you see a baby smiling or laughing or giggling, does it make you happy? When you see the sun shining, does it make you happy? Because it's something that's out there. The environment is out there, and that's going to affect our mood. And the key thing is to look at things, look at the environment in a way that helps you along your day. And this is where I think one way we can actually improve our mood, typically, is not watching the news. Because the majority of the news these days, I'm sure you see exactly the same that we see in a different language. It's not nice news. It's not good news. It's news because it's newsworthy, but it's not really making us happy. At the moment on the news, we're seeing bushfires and on the Greek islands. And the news is showing you pictures of burnt out homes and vehicles. So people have lost their livelihood. And the same goes for the west coast of America. We're seeing devastation. That isn't doing a fantastic amount for our mood, is it? It's appealing to us because we're now empathizing and we've got sympathy with these people. And a lot of people are saying, well, how can we help? Which is really good. It's not doing much for your happiness unless you do something good. So we have to be a little smart for our own being, really. And I think I'll use this word resilience again, that we come back to many times. And it's about having that resilience to be happy, if that makes sense.
Well, I think then what you're suggesting to our viewers is that you have to consciously tell your mind to be happy, whatever the situation may be. You know, if the weather changes, you should feel happy. For simple things, for small things on day-to-day basis, if you start training your mind to be happy, then overall you'll be happier and not gloomy. So I think, for example, you mentioned rain. You know, in some part of the world, if it rains, like in India, if it rains, it's a very happy mood. You know, there are music on rain, there are different things which are designed around rain. So rain is a big thing, unlike your country, where sometimes it can be gloomy, or a place like Seattle where it rains so much. And but in India it is celebrated. You know, there are a lot of festivals around rain. So similarly, I think what your suggestion today is that to feel happy consciously, train the mind so that we can feel happy consciously in every little thing that we encounter on daily basis, isn't it, Neville?
Yeah, it's really almost doing a little exercise on a daily basis. You know, when you smile, what happened prior to the smile? When you feel happy, what happened immediately prior to feeling happy? Because as I said, it's a consequence. So you do have to consciously be aware of what makes you happy. And if necessary, you can write all this down. You'll have a really long list by the end of the day. Trust me. If you do this religiously, you'll have a really long list and you'll say, well, why am I ever unhappy? Because I've got all these wonderful things that I've written down that make me happy. And all I've got to do is to go and now look for them. And that's the key. So we now go and look for fulfillment. So we look to be happy. If you want to be happy, I'm going to do one of these things because that makes me happy. And it might be bake a cake, or it might be make scrambled egg on toast. Because it could be the physical making of it that makes you happy. So you've got a result here. Oh, that really looks nice. I'm going to really enjoy that. So actually you get two levels of happiness. One through thinking and making it, and the other thing through eating it. And then if you've got a dishwasher, you don't even have to wash it up.
Absolutely, Neville. In fact, this is something great today, and I thought it's a very simple thing, but I think it's a very important message. To remain happy is something that it is our responsibility, considering the situation the world is in. All of us are in the same boat, and therefore it's a good message that you have given us today. Thank you so much for making a positive morning, positive start of the day for today, Neville. Thank you so much.
That's my pleasure, CK. And remember, everybody, there's not the 100% you go after. You go after the little 1%. And if you add all those 1% together, you'll be quite surprised that you probably end up with more than 100%. And that will make you happy. So those little goals, little achievements, even just, smiling the fact that you're alive in these difficult times, because some people around the world do actually wake up and think, thank God I'm alive. Because whatever happened the previous day, is now history. They've survived another day. So any fool can make this very complicated, but let's make it simple. Here's your challenge. Go away and every time you smile, write down what happened. Why? Why am I smiling? Every time you feel good, write it down. Why do I feel good? And let's see how many things people can come up with in a day that makes them smile or be happy. You'll be very surprised at how big that list is.
Neville, thank you so much for giving this tip in the end. And I think this is a very important tip. And also, thank you so much for finding time and coming and joining our show this morning. We will catch up tomorrow again, Neville, on something more interesting.
My pleasure, CK. Have a good day, everybody, and smile.
Good morning, friends. Welcome to Akulmach Live, and I'm Chandrakant. As per our research, we have found that our Prime Minister, Mr. Modi, is going to bring another major reform in India. And in month of September, he had marathon meetings with all the major secretaries of the ministries, and he's actually asking the ministries to come up with a framework to create a new reform, especially with regard to administration of the government services. And this is a major, this is going to bring a major change in the way we actually live our life, because this is all related to administration. And the secretaries are working on a 60-point plan right now, which will be announced very soon, and that involves things like issues related to citizenship. And the biggest problem the Indians have is that we don't have a citizenship card. There is nothing to prove that we are the citizen of India, and India being such a large country. And one of the method that is being thought about is linking citizenship with a birth certificate, because if you have taken birth, you're citizen of India. So I think there is a major plan which is being discussed right now, modalities of bringing the citizens data into central location and linking it with the birth certificate. So I think this is one major area where a lot of changes we will see, and this will have a major repercussions in terms of finding job, getting admission into colleges, etc., and also getting some benefits from the government, because only citizens who are the Indian citizens should be allowed to avail those benefits. So those benefits will be given to people who are born in India. So I think there is a major plan going on at the moment, and I'm pleased to bring this information. Next is one of the major item in this 60-point agenda is to bring a single window system, especially for small medium enterprises. And they want to bring a system which is even better than the Vietnam single window system. So Vietnam has been doing very well in the SME sector at the moment, and India being a very large country, I think we cannot compete with Vietnam, but yet Government of India is trying to bring a system based IT based systems which will be governed by artificial intelligence and a whole lot of IT related technologies built into it. And they want to reduce the burden of SMEs to the extent that they don't have to go to multiple departments to take multiple approvals. So they can actually go to a website which is hosted by Government of India and apply for the business, and they will get the license or approval to run that business. So this is on the cards, friends, and this is going to come. I think this is going to be a big boost for the SME sector, where there will be much easier to start your business, much easier to take approval, much easier to do things. And I think this is going to have some sort of change in taxation also, because there are multiple fees that needs to be paid. So I think we will wait and watch what kind of system is being thought about. And the other final agenda on my list today is India as a country want to increase further the ease of doing business, and right now we are a position at 100 position, and we want to further reduce the burden on ease of doing business, and this will attract the foreign businesses to come to India and find Indian partners to set up Indian operations. So this is also one of the big things, and so I think this is all coming down to ease of doing business, where you have the citizenship data linked to birth certificate, you have a single window approval processes, and then the laws and regulation will be IT controlled, and people don't have to go to multiple places. Multiple approvals may not be required. All you have to do is go to one particular website and register your business. So I think this is all coming. The ministries have come up with a 60-point agenda, and there are marathon activities going on. The government of India is also trying to understand how we can roll out all these things without hampering the growth that has been projected. And there are a lot of IT development is also being planned to roll out all of these activities, linking multiple platforms like PC, mobile, or different access points, even telephones. So we will wait and watch. Friends, let me know what you think about this observation. And if you have anything else in mind, do write in and we will cover that as well. And I will catch you in the next one. Hello friends, this is Akulmach Live and I am Chandrakant. Today we want to basically make an announcement about a new group that we have launched on Facebook, where we want to indulge with people and discuss about things like attitude, leadership, and character building and things like that, even parenting. So I will be joined by my partner from UK, and we will be making this announcement and making it very clear why your participation is so crucial, not only for you but for everyone, including us. Welcome back, friends, and today we have a special announcement, and the announcement is very interesting. So without further ado, let me invite my friend from London, Mr. Naval Gund, to talk more about it.
Good morning, CK. Good morning, everybody. Beautiful day today. And yes, we're launching something new. And it's called Everything You Should Have Learned at School, but You Didn't. Now, why are we doing that? CK, why are we doing that?
Well, in my opinion, I think there are several skills which you don't learn at school, and the life teaches you those skills. So we want to basically have people follow us and learn some of those skills. That is the reason why we have launched this particular specific group for reaching out to such people who wants to enhance their attitude, improve their leadership qualities, etc.
Absolutely right. And you know, as an employer, and I know as an employer, the first thing you ask in an interview is not what's on the CV, it's what isn't on the CV. What have you done? Where have you done it? What did you enjoy? What was your worst example? And all of these things you never get from a technical arena. Now, this is a huge shock to a lot of highly qualified graduates that come out of university thinking having been told, get a good degree, get a good job. Now, I'm 62 years old, and I was told that when I was at school. And do you know what? My teachers lied to me. But they didn't lie on purpose because they didn't know any better. It's because it was assumed that that's what happens. You get good qualifications, you get a good job. Well, it's never really been the case. And you will know anyone over 25, in fact, sometimes a little younger, but anyone over 25 that's gone for an interview and they see a whole line of people waiting to be interviewed for that one job, and then you suddenly realize you're in a competition. And it's not just about soft skills and the right attitude, but it's all those other things that we have to learn as an adult. How to be a parent. My goodness, how to be a parent. You can go and read all the books about it, but they won't do you any good at 2 o'clock in the morning when you're trying to thumb through and that baby's crying. You know, it's about practice, more practice, and the right practice makes perfect. Any practice makes permanent. So the purpose of this course, and it's online. We're going to be doing live sessions. We're going to be interviewing you online as well. And we're going to be getting you to do certain things that might be just pushing you a little bit out of your comfort zone. But fundamentally, look at the picture in the background. Can-do people are great performers. And what we want to be doing is helping you be a can-do person. Not that you know how to do it, because there's lots of things, CK, you and I do that we haven't a clue how to do, but it's exciting, and we roll our sleeves up, we brush ourselves down, and we get after it. We really get engaged with it. And this is about being engaged. What excites you? What really excites you? You know, it could be sport, it could be work, it could be having fun with the kids or grandkids. It doesn't matter. But once you've found out what that is, then we can capture that and we can move that into having more excitement and being happier. So it's as simple as that. Come on a journey with us. It'll be a fascinating journey. We're going to teach you little tricks of the trade. These aren't tricks, really. It's just common sense. But as they say, common sense isn't common practice. So that's what we're going to help for you do as well. We're going to make common sense your common practice. And there's lots of side benefits from this too. You will be able to identify idiots, fake news, people that you need to avoid. So those are the tricks of the trade that we can have. And more importantly, you can help those other people be better people. So this is about helping you be good in your arena, get the best out of your life, but also being a good human to everybody else. I hope that's exciting. CK, I can see you smiling away. We've touched a couple of nerves with you there. You know, you and I are a little old in the teeth here, but you've got young children, and it's helping them succeed too.
Yes, so viewers, I think this is a very brief announcement of what we intend to do. So please join in every Friday at 4 p.m. India time. And you can actually address your concerns with Naval, and Naval can respond to you. It's going to be a chit chat session, nothing official about it. It'll be very friendly from 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. I will update the group statistics with all this information. Every Friday 4 to 5, Naval will be live with you guys and discuss various soft skills, leadership, attitude, and even parenting issues.
Look forward to it. And by the way, we don't have all the answers, but we'll help you find them in your world, in your arena, so that you can be the best you can be. And it's as simple as that. So come on the journey. Let's have a little fun. Let's go back to our childhood and start learning everything we should have learned at school, but didn't.
See you this Friday, Naval, and we will have fun.
Cheerio. See you then.
Hello, friends. This is Chandra from Akulmach Technologies, and welcome to Top Brass Likeable Leaders. This week, I present to you Mr. Subir Saxena, who is the head of global IT sourcing and procurement at Novartis.
Hello, welcome to Akulmach Live, and today is Wednesday. And today we have lovely Dr. Shambhavi Das. We'll be discussing a very important aspect of music. But before that, I would like to welcome her. Hello,
Thank
welcome
you
to
so
the
much,
show.
Kanchanji.
How are you doing today, Shambhavi?
Good. I'm very good. Thanks for inviting me.
Shambhavi, we are discussing a very important aspect of music. So, what we are discussing, if you just tell us our viewers today?
So, today I'm going to take a topic called ethnomusicology, which is a very interesting topic in terms of social music.
So, what is this ethnomusicology? Because I think this is a term many people must have not heard about. So, what is this really means?
So, ethnomusicology is like ethno means the ethics, and musicology means it obviously it's related to music. So basically it is the term which is not used in Indian music, but now it has been arrived in the form of Indian music as well. So ethnomusicology is basically the study of world's music to identify that why and how. This is basically the study of why and how the human beings are musical. So ethnomusicology actually assumes that all humans are musical to some degree, and not only musical, they have actually musicality defines their humanity. So, and it provides one of the touchstone of human experience, as in whatever you perceive, whatever you are, as in. So if I listen to your particular music, or what kind of music you love to listen according to your culture, your social behavior, whatever you listen, it defines you. So this is how ethnomusicologists feel. Ethnomusicologists also believe that understanding the humanity through the musicality is the best way to mind read or face read the people. So therefore, as a ethnomusicology, you have to know all kinds of world music. That's why it is also called the study of world's music, as in the full planet music. Whatever music is there in the planet, you have to know that, because if you have to read a person, then obviously you have to know their culture, their musical culture, their musical background. But in that case only you can have some idea on what kind of humanity a particular culture has, what kind of ethics they have. So, coming to in the further interviews, I'll be saying I'll be giving the illustrations of ethnomusicology in terms of Indian music.
Well, viewers, Dr. Shambhavi Das, she has a profound experience in music. She has her own academy, Surdemi. And she's quite a good and popular teacher among her people and students. So, going further, I would like to ask you how this aspect is incorporated. Can we do it day-to-day basis, or it's a different stream where a person have to become or take a study of this kind of stream of music?
So basically, if you have to become a ethnomusicologist, I just have to say that it is a course, obviously, in which world music is first studied, and then how you create certain 12 or 13 areas. There are certain, segments which you have to study on music. So like I said, you have to study world music. For that you have to study the percussion music of every culture. Then you have to study the physical and the verbal behavior of a people, which is your body language. Listening to particular music or singing a particular music, what kind of, aura are you feeling? And according to that aura, you are just what kind of body language you are having, because body languages are subtle, right? You don't show it. So this is one thing. For example, there is a very good story. Like ethnomusicology is basically a Greek concept. So Greek actually thought about it, because in ancient Greek, I think Greek mythology and Greek music is much ancient. Like we call it Vedic music in India. Greek music is also like it's around 490 BC or something. So at that time, they there was a lot of music in their culture. So they started this particular genre, that let's study people and let's study their culture in terms of music. So if you go to the Greece areas, there's a lot of music, and lot of theater music still goes on. And I'm really sorry to say that much music is not even that much, traditional music doesn't is not existing in India as well. Like theater music, Natya Sangeet, Karanal music, then Nazrul Sangeet, Rabindra Sangeet. There is so much in our culture, the ancient cultures. We don't have it as of now. Yes, they are still reviving now, but we are still in the process of reviving. Like the Vedic Sangeet, the Sam Sangeet, the Sangeet which is related to Sam Ved. So there are so much. So they started this, that how you have to read a behavior, a verbal behavior, or a physical behavior through ethnomusicology. So if we connect it to Indian music, have you ever felt that today's people are not that patriotic in terms of why? Because we don't need to be patriotic. But when you read the literature of British India, there is so much in literature and in music. Why? How is it like खूब लड़ी मर्दानी वो तो झांसी वाली रानी थी? Why do they have to write this? Or the earlier at that time we'd had music like दे दी हमें आजादी बिना. Such a good lyrics they have. As if you just listen to the this music, you just want all the Firangis and the British to just go off. Why? Because there was a need of that music. So that political background framed this music. So there was a political, uh, uh, the impact. How so? Now today there is patriotism, but people don't have it. People don't see any movie, or people don't listen to any patriotic song to get inspired by it. They just listen to the music. And we don't have that much of patriotic singing as of now in this recent years, like we had it before, because that was a need. Ramdhari Singh Dinkar, so he made like something like Bhagwan ke dakiye are the pakshis. So he made, and there was a full musical background made in this particular poems. So, so basically, this is the political background. So basically, you can just derive that earlier during 70s or maybe during 60s, people were more patriotic, or they had more the feeling of nationalism. So this is one example. Second example is folk music. Folk music is the root of Indian music. Folk music, as in every little person, like if you listen to the folk music, so you will just get into the idea that okay, this is a rural music. Rural music is language based. They have their own simple languages, and music is based on that. Suppose they are doing some harvest, so they made a folk music out of it. In Indian music, we say that the roots of music is folk music. The classical music is derived, is originated from the folk music, because that was the first one to like there are two versions. Like first, it's originated through the spirituality, but the spiritual music was very, it was formed by the intelligent people who used to only meditate. The second version is that it is originated from the folk music, because normal people used to sing folk only. They didn't know what is classical, what is Richai, what is Rigved, what is Samved. So there were, so basically it's originated through the folk music, and folk music were the rural, the very cute and very simple music of the situations made by the normal rural people. And then after, when they thought that some standardizations have to be done from the folk musics, and then they made it a classical thing. Okay, let's make a tune, let's make a this, let's standardize it, so the classical music is made. Then there is all other fields came up around it. This is ethnomusicology. Like if you read the people, how they like it, like for example, some rural people like birha. Biraha, why? Biraha means, why do they like it? Because normally, Biraha means that sadness. So husband has gone, and the ladies are just singing Biraha. So this was made the culture of a particular area or particular rural areas, that okay, let's do this. So basically this is ethnomusicology. When you read the people, when you read the culture, their social aspect through any particular music.
When we are talking, this is quite a profound subject, and it needs a lot of deep learning and, of course, practicing. Now, when you are teaching music, do you really follow these kind of little aspect of ethnomusicology in your day-to-day learning or presentation?
Yes, I do have to follow that. Not totally, because suppose depends upon the age, depends upon whether I'm teaching the people or whether I'm doing the therapy. If I'm doing the therapy, obviously, sometimes 3 to 4 sessions it takes to understand their musical knowledge, musical background, what kind of music they like to listen, what kind of music their parents sing. But when I'm teaching music, it's very important to just understand, but it's not very difficult to understand what they like, because most of the students from 7 years to 14 years, they like English music, and it's very easy to derive the psychology behind it. It can be the peer music. So all kinds of Western music is peer. Then they do have certain international schools, because of which they are just speaking English, so they want to sing English. And so based on that, I have to first initially start with an English music, and then I have to bring them to the some light kind of a music. And if I'm teaching classical, I have to go very fast initially. so that they don't get bored and they don't get an idea that classical music is boring. After 2 3 months, when the teaching is just going beyond, then we make them, come towards the spiritual music, that is omkar, or any classical music, that okay, you have to do the alap now, some slow music, so I have to bring them to that. And then they start enjoying it because they know that okay, this is aspect. And we have to talk a lot, that see, there are two versions of your life, one is slow, one is fast. You have to go with both the versions, and both have their importance. Slow life is also needed, fast life is also needed, relaxation, stimulation. So these talkings should be there so that they can connect with they can just go off their minds that no, no, this is boring, this is very interesting. So they should know this is all in the mind. And maybe because so this is one thing, like in teaching we do for adults. uh, then also adults, it's very easy for them to express their views on music, that I like, so I usually write it down what they like to do. There is certain kind of oral, and in ethnomusicology there is one area called relationship between oral and other modes of perception. What is oral? When you lips when you do the lip sync, when you actually sing or render a song. What are the other modes of perception? Listening, playing, dancing, just doing some uh, the rhymes, or just doing some poses, or just having some mudras and singing. Then percussion. So there are other modes of perception. Some people think that I like to relax while singing. Some people think that I like to relax through playing or through listening. So there is different modes of perception, as this is also related to ethnomusicology. So when I come to read about ethnomusicology, and when I connect it with my students as well as the clients, adults, or depending upon their ages, so it makes me, so ethnomusicology helps me a lot to understand the people and their musical goals and their musical perceptions. Then there is one thing called aesthetics and interrelationships between the culture. What is aesthetics? Suppose you sing something, you don't know anything about music, but there is something in you which is actually creating some aesthetics in the music, especially maybe the music which you like. In there, that only you are creating some aesthetics as in when you just when you like a music, and when your body creates a feel, even you don't know you are actually creating a music. It is a very particular, very subtle nuances you are creating, but you are not creating, your brain is doing that, and through your body the brain is actually creating that. Sometimes in classical these realizations happens, like you are just singing something with your closed eyes and you say, oh my god, these few nuances are so good, how did it go? So this is a musical perception that sometimes you yourself is wondering like, why, how this happened. I never sang it this way, I never learned it this way, but some musical perception, something is, that brain is creating that. So this all comes into ethnomusicology. uh, Teaching music, learning music, how you learn music, and how you teach music. This is also, so the why do you teach music the way you teach? This is ethnomusicology. How you learn music the way you learn. Sometimes when you teach music, sometimes some ego is reflected through the mic. Oh, she's not listening to me. But for the other teacher, they are teaching some music with a very cool and calm mind. Okay, it's okay. Let her do that. how you learn music. Into in some music, you as some guru, you are feeling, oh my god, he's wasting time. For but some people, they are learning music with the very good intensity, that okay, whatever he's telling, let me write it down. So this is this all aspects, all whatever, you just can feel the psychology behind it. And when you connect it with the music, that is ethnomusicology, and it's very interesting to relate it to all your daily basis life.
Well, today we have really learned a new concept, which I think most of the viewers may not be knowing it. So before we end this show, I would like you to sing something which is very interesting for you. And in case if you want to correlate with the ethnomusicology, that is also perfectly fine. But will not let you go without singing any lines today.
Like right now, my state of my according to my state of mind, I would be singing ghazal. तेरे ख्याल को अपना बना लिया मैंने, तेरे ख्याल को अपना बना लिया मैंने, तेरे ख्याल को। इसीलिए तो इसीलिए तो इसीलिए तो तेरा गम चुरा लिया मैंने, तेरे ख्याल को अपना बना लिया मैंने, तेरे ख्याल को। तेरी नजर की अमानत मिली है जिस दिन से, तेरी नजर की अमानत मिली है जिस दिन से, तेरी नजर की अमानत मिली है जिस दिन से, हर एक निगाह से दामन बचा लिया मैंने, तेरे ख्याल को। थैंक यू।
Beautiful, Shambhavi. And as usual, it is so wonderful to talk to you and discuss the new aspect of music and every Wednesday. So it's our pleasure to be with you today. And before we end this show, I would also extend the greetings for Diwali to you and to all our viewers. So till next time, bye bye. You take care.
Thank you so much. Wish you a very happy Diwali.
Hello friends, this is Akulmach live and I'm Chandrakant. Today we have a very special guest on the show, and I've been told that I will be given a lesson on how do you think out of the box. So let's get back to our discussion, but before that I must tell you that there is a giveaway, so please stick around to this outstanding show which is coming up right away, and in the end we will tell you how you can claim your free gift. Welcome back, friends. And today our guest is Mr. Neval Gund. He's joining us from London, and he is chairman of MindFit Limited. And today he is actually throwing a challenge at me. I don't know what the challenge is, but I'm curious to know what kind of challenge he is going to throw at me. So without further ado, let me invite Neval to the show.
Good morning, CK. Good morning, everybody. And yes, welcome to Friday, the Friday challenge, we might want to call it. Maybe we'll do this every week. So, CK, are you ready to put your thinking cap on?
Absolutely, Neval. I'm just waiting to see, because from the time you told me that there is going to be a challenge and you want to check my intellect, I'm trying to prove myself. I'm waiting for it.
Well, as people will know me and those workshops that we do on a regular basis for the very highest in the organization, the CX, the C-suite, right the way down to the employees on the shop floor, as you might want to call it, and even to students at university. We run these innovation challenges during our workshops. So this is about how creative are you? Where's your thinking going? Can you do something logical, but also think creatively? Solve a simple problem, okay? So what we're going to do is a very simple problem. And what I'd like you to do, CK, is to get up the whiteboard, and I'd like you to draw 9 dots in the shape of a square on the whiteboard, if you wouldn't mind.
Yes, Neval, I will do it. I have understood the problem and I will start drawing that.
Fantastic. So while you're doing that, a lot of people will recognize that when they played this game as a child, it was something quite simple. We would create literally a square box, and we'd have lots of dots around there and all little squares that would be made up from it. And we would play a game of connecting the dots. And if there's 2 of you, you know, it's a bit like playing noughts and crosses or tic-tac-toe. It's actually trying to create and make the box complete. And every time you made the box complete, you got a point. And what that meant was, if you made the box complete and you got a point, you then had an extra turn. And eventually it got pretty close when you're working with your friends, because you were thinking all the time, or if they go there, I'm going to go here. So this is about logical thinking, and it's a competition. So the competition today, CK, is you and 9 dots. Nothing to do with me, all right? So what I would like you to do, in the minimum number of straight lines, without taking your cursor off the page. Okay, so on a piece of paper, it's easy for me to do, because what it means is I can't take the pen off the paper. I want you to join all those 9 dots with straight lines in the minimum number. So have a go.
Yes, Neval, I've understood your question. It is basically straight lines without lifting my pen, and I have to connect all the dots, these 9 dots, in one go. So let me try and attempt this.
Yep, have a go. One, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hey, great. Okay, so you've got the answer now. So the number to beat is 5. So can you beat 5? Have another go. Start somewhere else and see if you can do it in less than 5. Oh, going diagonally. So thinking differently now. 2, 3. Keep going. 4, 5, 6. What part of this did you not understand? You're supposed to be doing it better than you did the first time, because the first time was a practice, and now you've done it in one more, which is not actually the way to go. This is not performance improvement, is it? I can see you smiling, CK, but but there's an inside of you that's saying, "Oh, damn it! Oh, he's got me here." I haven't got you at all. You've got yourself. You've tied yourself up in knots. Notice how you've really tied yourself up in knots by making it really complicated. So you've gone from 5 to 6. So the only way is improving. So you can go backwards and get to 5. So have another go.
All right, Neville.
Now, the purpose of this, ladies and gentlemen, is when you start to get focused on something and it's not quite working out, you start to get annoyed. 3, 4, 5. Well, that's a pretty simple solution. You got 5. In fact, you've shown the letter S, which is where a lot of young people would have started. They would actually see a pattern and they'd go, well, I can do like that. And there's the letter S. Okay. Now, I'm not going to frustrate you anymore, CK, because you're obviously feeling the pressure. This is a live video. You hadn't seen this before. And my guess is you're getting pretty frustrated and very annoyed with me. So here we go. We're going to do...
No, one more try. One more try, Neville.
One more try. Okay. One, 2, diagonally again. 3. Is he going to do it? 4, 5. 5 again, CK. Now, your report card from your teacher would say, must try harder, okay? So this is like, you're going to get, I'll give you a B minus, okay? How's that? Do you feel happy with a B minus?
Not at all, Neville.
Not at all. No. And I'm winding you up something lovely here, okay? And for those people out there, if you're in a team and you're trying to solve a problem and you're constantly trying to focus on the same thing, guess what? I can guarantee you're going to fail. So let me show you how you can do it in 4. Would you like to do it in 4?
Certainly, Neville. Show me the...
Okay. Do you think I can do it in 4? Because you've just struggled doing it in 5, and then you went to 6, and then you improved back to 5. So do you think I can do it in 4?
Well, I think that there could be some other pattern which I'm not able to guess right now. So I believe that you can do it in 4. I believe that.
Okay. All right. I'm going to give you an instruction and let's see whether you can do it in 4. So let's go back to the whiteboard. Undo that one. Now, I'd like you to focus not on the square, because this is where people have a problem. They look at 9 dots and they're focusing on the square. All of your lines stayed on the edge of the square or inside the square. And there's a great piece of work from Edward de Bono that said, think outside the box. So I'm going to show you what thinking outside the box really means. I would like you to draw with 4 lines an arrow head. Okay, and we're going to start in the top left. That's the top right. Top left, that's it. On the left-hand side. Left. That's it. Top left.
I'm in top left, Neville. But
okay, I can't see. It's the cursor. That's all right. Draw a straight line down through the 3. Start at the top left on that box on the top left. and just go straight down. Keep going, keep going, keep going outside the box. Right, okay. Now, go diagonally to the middle square in the bottom line and connect with the middle square in the middle line and keep going. No, sorry, undo that. Let's start again. So go straight down, perfect. Now, what I'd like you to do is from that point, connect the middle square of the bottom line and the middle square on the right-hand side. Keep going and keep going to the top line. Keep going. There, stop there. And now I would like you to go to the left, connecting the top line to the left-hand corner. That's 3. Keep going. Keep going. 3, stop there. And now I'd like you to do the diagonal to connect the final 2. There we go. And it looks like an arrowhead.
Amazing, Neville.
4 lines. Okay. Do you think you can do it in any more, CK? Any less than 4 lines?
I'm out of ideas, Neville, very frankly, but I personally believe it could be done in 3 lines.
Okay, you're out of ideas, which is great. You're being honest, but it could be done in 3 lines because I've opened up your mind to moving outside the box. Okay? So let's just imagine for the moment that let's get rid of that arrow. And I'm going to draw on mine how you could do it in 3 lines. Now you have to use a bit of imagination here because I'm going right outside the lines to infinity and beyond, as Buzz Lightyear would say, okay? So I would have to go a long way outside, but draw 1 line like that and draw another line and then draw another line like that. That's 3 lines. Does that make sense?
Yes, I can draw it, but not like you, but I can definitely draw it.
Okay, so the point we're trying to make today is I didn't want to get you too frustrated at the beginning, but a lot of people will get very frustrated in this. And by the way, when we run our workshops, we spend probably 45 minutes to an hour on this simple program. And we get people to buddy up. And they get incredibly frustrated trying to do it in less. Oh, there you go. Perfect, CK. To infinity. They get incredibly frustrated in trying to solve what on the face of it is a very simple problem. So is it not an expectation, therefore, that with very complicated problems, you can get equally frustrated if you don't use your mind? So this is an exercise in using your mind. And in my background, you will always see our Mind Fit for Success banner that we take to all exhibitions and we put it up in our workshops. We're trying to develop a can-do attitude. So when you first started, you didn't have a clue how to do it, really. You just operated as most people would do. The vast majority of people would see 9 dots in a square and they'd stay within the square. And as you saw on your second attempt, you made it incredibly complicated and the answer got worse. Okay, so there's another message for today. Now, I'm going to leave you with a thought. A 4-year-old can do it in 1.
Well, Neville, I think, first of all, let me explain this to the viewers, is that why this answer is correct. Because your initial problem was not to lift the pen, but here we are actually lifting the pen and drawing another parallel line. So I think scientifically, I must tell the viewers that as per the theory of relativity, all parallel lines will intersect at some point. So that is why that is infinity. And so that is the first explanation why these parallel lines are considered to be drawn without lifting, as long as you keep going to the infinity and then keep coming back, and then again on the other side of the infinity, and then keep drawing that line again. So this is 3 lines without lifting the pen, as long as you draw till the infinity and back. And then I cannot think of doing this in 2 lines, because I think this is a limit of my thinking, Neville. And now you're asking a 4-year-old can do it in 1 line. I'm baffled.
Okay, well, just going back to your scientific explanation, the reason you've drawn the parallel lines is because, again, you're thinking inside the box. Imagine drawing it the way I did. Look at how those lines don't actually go through the center of the dot. So the top left-hand one starts at the top, but by the time I finished, I'm in the bottom of the right-hand one. So if I've drawn 3 perfect squares here, I would have gone from the top of the first square through the middle of the second square and then at the bottom of the third square. Now, you don't need to have relativity or parallel lines. That's not a parallel line, okay? Because by the time I get over here, I'm going to go through the left-hand side of the middle one on the right-hand side there, and then I'm going to go through the center, and then I'm going through the bottom. So I'm actually drawing the letter Z, although going beyond your piece of paper, okay? So again, you, through your explanation, got me to think about where you're going, because this isn't my journey that's important, it's your journey that's important. But you know, because of who I am, that you're intrigued now. And when I say a 4-year-old can do it in 1, you believe me. And interestingly enough, there's lots of research that's shown a 4-year-old can do it in 1. So would you know how to learn how to do it in 1? Would our viewers want to know how to do it in 1, or are we going to leave them on tenterhooks?
Well, Neville, I absolutely believe you, because this exercise is not about solving this puzzle. This exercise, now I get it, because when we started doing this, I was very confident I can do it, because there is nothing. These are a matter of just connecting 9 dots. I could do it, but then I realized in the middle that it's easier said than done. And now you're telling me it can be done in 1 line, and the exercise is about thinking out of the box. So I'm perfectly with you on this path that it could be done just using 1 line. And I don't know what is the answer. Maybe one of our viewers would know the answer, and they can tell it to us. I don't know.
It's up to you, CK. We can either tell everyone what the answer is, I can show them, or more importantly, you can show them, or we can leave it here for another day, but ask our viewers to come up with the answer. What do you think? It's entirely up to you.
Neville, I feel that, like, for example, today I failed to solve the challenge.
Oh, right. No, CK, you didn't fail at all. You went on a journey, okay? And the point about going on a journey is you're learning something. And you're now learning all of that management speak about think outside the box. You actually practically shown how a simple demonstration means you should think outside the box. This is limiting your belief in your behavior by staying inside a very simple child's puzzle. That's what effectively this is. So you haven't failed, you've learnt, and that's most important, right? Failure is something that just doesn't exist. The more we fail, the more we learn, frankly. Edison, remember, there's a famous quote about Edison. It was only on the 10,000th light bulb that he succeeded. That means he had 9,999 failures or partial successes. We know what the answer to that is.
I take that, Neville. Absolutely take that. And but I'm very curious. How many would be able to solve this in 1 line? So instead of you telling the answer, why don't we leave it open for 7 days and revisit this problem after 7 days, and see if people can solve it using one line, and share their videos with us.
Absolutely. Let's do that. And what I will say to everybody, this is a very famous experiment and you can actually Google it. But if you Google it and find the answer, okay, tell us you've Googled it first. Be honest. I'm not going to tell you how to Google it because it's not that obvious. But it's a very famous experiment that's done all the time. But if you Google it, you will find the answer. Now, that's part of research, that's part of your learning. And if you want to learn about that earlier, do it. Alternatively, try and do it yourself. Get with your friends. Have a cup of coffee with a few of your business friends. Or if you're a student at university, sit round a table and draw those 9 dots and just say, how can we do it with one line? Get your thought processes really moving. So yes, CK, happy to come back in a week's time. 7 days. My goodness, that's a lifetime. That's more time than it takes to get to the moon. But anyway.
Well, viewers, there are 7 days to complete this challenge. It's partially done today during the program live between me and Neville, where I was the student. But now the challenge is increased to a higher level, to a next level, where you're supposed to connect all these 9 dots with just one line. So let me show that to viewers once again what we are asking for. So by starting my whiteboard. We have to connect all these 9 dots without lifting the pen with just one line. And Neville says that it's a school problem. It's a 4-year-old, even a 4-year-old can solve it. So it must be very easy. I think the lesson that we learned today is thinking out of the box. So answer is not in mathematics, not in geometry, but thinking out of this box. So that is a challenge. We will revisit this one after 7 days again.
Good stuff. Well, I hope you enjoyed that little trip, journey today, CK. And remember, everybody, everything you do, you're succeeding or you're learning. Failure is just an imagination issue between your 5 inches between your ears. So start thinking about doing things and not worrying about failure, because failure really doesn't exist. It only exists in your mind.
Absolutely, Neville. So thank you so much for opening my mind today. And I want to see how many people can attempt this and draw just one line interconnecting all these 9 dots which are laid down in a pattern of a square. So we will catch up after 7 days on this subject, but I will catch up with you on Monday again with something more interesting.
Fantastic. Have a good weekend, everybody. And please don't get frustrated with this. Have fun.
We have some unique Akulmach memorabilia which will make you look outstanding. The graphics on these corporate gifts are based on the global best business practices. To become recipient of one of these gifts for free, you have to watch this video till the end and provide your valuable comments. Or you can also share your experiences. The person who makes the best comment would be chosen to become a recipient of this beautiful Akulmach gift, absolutely free, delivered to your doorsteps. The winner would also get a chance to be invited live as a distinguished panelist during our next video. What are you waiting for, friends? Please subscribe Akulmach and smash that like button.
Hello, welcome to Akulmach Live. I'm Kanchan Verma, and today in this episode, you know that we take you to places, and they are beautiful places of the world. And today also we are taking you to a very wonderful place of the world, which is Patliputra, or we also call Patna in modern times. And to tell us about this particular city, we have Mr. Sitesh Srivastava, who is a very die-hard traveler. He's closely associated with radio broadcasting, and also he's an IT professional. So let's welcome him. Welcome to the show, Sitesh. How are you doing today?
Hello, Kanchan. This is a wonderful day today to talk to you about another interesting place, another interesting city, a modern city which has its roots in antique, probably very, very ancient times. And popularly, it is very, very famous in modern India with a very important seat of education and a city in the North Indian Ganges belt, which is older to Calcutta or Kolkata. And yes, I'm talking about Patna. I'm sure you know about it.
Yes, I know about this because this city is very closely associated with me because since a very long time when I was in school, I used to read about Patliputra, Nalanda, Mauryan Empire. And this city has really made a very interesting dent on my heart, and definitely I look forward to know about the city, and I'm sure that all my audience will also want to know, and maybe if they know about the city, maybe they would like to listen from you and recollect their own memories. So yes, let's begin.
Thank you. Well, Patna or Patliputra, or in some places Kusumpuri, there are some names and various stories. A king making a city for his beloved wife, or a very ancient temple of Patan Devi, and then it becomes a modern Patliputra. But whatever you mention, this city is steeped in history. And as you can see in the image behind me, that is the reach of this city in the ancient world. King Mauryan Empire, Pala Empire, Gupta Empire, this was the reach. And you can see this covers the modern Indian subcontinent up until Afghanistan, the modern Afghanistan that we see. And this city, very important contributions in our ancient India's learning system by the way of Nalanda, and very important kings like Ashoka, who has led our modern Indian psyche and political system. Even his emblems are mentioned in our constitution. And from there, Kanchan, coming to the medieval ages, and then a very, very important place, a city, when even Calcutta was not around. So there are glimpses of this city, the very iconic city. And in today's Patna is a very important contributor in India's economy, in terms of the education, in terms of its people, and capital of the Bihar state. And for some accounts, I have been hearing since my teenage years that the state of Bihar gives us maximum number of IAS people, Indian Administrative Services people. So yes, let's discuss about the city, about its people, about its monuments, buildings, and its modern place in India in 2021.
Well, as we mentioned that we get a lot of bureaucrats from the city, and there's no doubt that this city has a political background, and we have a great Chanakya who is coming from the city, who has given all the ideas how to rule, how to behave in, especially in political arena for the politicians. So I think that is something which is awesome. I think I have not come across so profound and so deeply rooted book which is written by Kautilya. We call him Chanakya. So yes, I would like to know, since we have already started that this is a political city, but still I would like to ask you that why it has been given credit to be capital of a popular state in India, which is Bihar. Why it has become a capital? Why not other city which are equally important when we talk about Bihar?
Kanchan, let me take you to somewhere in the 1500, year 1560, 1550, when the Mughal Empire was taking establishment in this Indian subcontinent, and as per reports in 1574. Emperor Akbar had reached to Patna region to, combat the rebellious Afghan leader Daud Khan. I mean, from those, Middle Ages, the Mughal Empire has got very unremarkable kind of a history in the Patliputra or Patna region. But Sher Shah, the one who actually challenged Humayun, the second Mughal emperor, and he actually, pushed him away back into the Kandahar or Afghanistan regions. He belonged to this area of Patna, and Sher Shah revived the glorious past of Patna. There he built a fort which does not stand right now. There are mosques which are in its name. But in the modern Indian context, you must understand, Kanchan, the geographical place of Calcutta. And 1574, as I said, Calcutta was not found. And Mughals were trying to reach to the Nawabs of Bengal, which will eventually, they will claim freedom from the Mughal suzerainty. And Patna was very important place for the trade, and lots of trade was happening. And Patna also stands at the, I can say, the Ganges River, and throughout the year, people can do the trade via boats, and it still happens on that plain. There's a Mahatma Gandhi Setu, which is the Asia's longest foot over bridge, almost 5.5 kilometers. During the English or the British times, Patna had become an important power center after Lucknow, after Delhi, to manage the Bengal presidency of the British. And it was governed from Bengal, Patna place. And, until the British found the port city of Calcutta. And Patna is also very important in terms of its Buddhist connections. Lord Buddha found his enlightenment just 100 kilometers away from Patna in Bodh Gaya. And while he was passing in his last years from the Patliputra area, he saw the constructions, and he proclaimed that this is going to be a great city of future, but it will also be marked by the famine and food shortages. And that's exactly, Patna defined the Indian subcontinent's conscious history. You mentioned about Chanakya and many more. I remember the history what ancient history of Mandan Mishra, Shastrarth, or his debate with Adi Shankaracharya is known in the Indian Hinduism thought. And Patna, in the modern context, after independence, Kanchan, Patna has evolved as a city which is the seat of the Bihar state. I used to stay when it was part of undivided Bihar, when Jharkhand was not there. And I have seen some of the glorious parts of Patna, and I can tell you today, it needs to be revived. It needs to be brought into the national conscious of the youth, what Patna was, what Patna is, and what Patna can be.
Well, definitely, because the city is quite an ancient city. It's a center of education. It is a center of political ground for many great kings, like empires also, because world famous is modern empire. And I think Patna has to be, as you mentioned, it has to be revived. It should be taught, and young people should get the idea that from which culture, from which traditional educational background we have emerged, and how the city has contributed towards making of the modern India. Because as you mentioned that most of the bureaucrats come from the Bihar. So I think we and the policymakers and the planners should think about it and should give more weightage, more thought processes, and mindshare should be cultivated for Indians to know about this particular city. Now, as you mentioned, this is ancient city, so I would like to now talk to you regarding the art and architecture, the influence of what culture, what kind of art and architecture you really see in this city, Patliputra, Patna.
Kanchan, you can see behind me some kind of a semi half egg kind of a structure, which is called Golghar. This is the first time I saw this kind of a structure when I used to stay there. This is actually a granary. I mean, in the 1785-86, there was a famine in Bengal presidency of the erstwhile British India. And the British forces, the British soldiers, for them, the food, this was a storage for the food. It's quite a remarkable structure. You can see some staircases going up. Now, of course, it is not used as a granary, but it is used as a kind of an observatory to the Patna city, and it is nearby to the Ganges River. And Patna has actually, you can see some ancient structures, but Indo-Saracenic architecture is mostly. So you can see the British, impact, impressions of the British, the Buddhist kind of structures, and in the medieval structures in the form of the mosques. And therefore, this stroll in this city gives a very balanced view of what was there in the medieval ages and what was built in the modern British ages and what is now built as a modern city. Now, coming from the culture, very popularly all over India, Bihari culture, Bhojpuri culture, Magadhi culture. So because it was part of Magad, so it's a very, very proud empire system that India had seen. So Magadhi culture, and so it stands in the conscious of Indian, people from Bihar. The Chhath Puja, we all know about that Chhath Puja, a very, very culturally conscious, deep-rooted festival. Then we have, Sonpur ka Mela, which is one of the biggest cattle exhibition, trading, fair in the Asian parlance. Nalanda as a university, you stand in Patna, Kanchan, and feel the air of the intelligence, the education that was there in this region, thousands of years back in Nalanda's times, one of the greatest universities of the old world, which was burned down in the Middle Ages. We lose our cultural heritage, but that somehow remained because knowledge is written in the books only when it is there in the head. So it has passed on from generations, and is also the heartbeat of everything that is there for the culture from Bihar. The food, the festival, the people, the closeness to the rural economy, the villages, and great freedom fighters. Our first president, Dr. Rajendra Prasad, a stalwart like him. In fact, West Bengal's first chief minister, Bhan Chandra Ray, was also born in Patna. So Patna also has a lot of Bengali culture influence, which is a favorite cultural affiliation for me. And it's endless. It's endless, interesting, small things, big things, and places of interest to see, mosques, and planetarium, biological park, which is called Sanjay Gandhi Biological Park. I don't know why. International airport is called Jai Prakash Narayan International Airport. And Jai Prakash Narayan, of course, many of our viewers would know, was a great freedom fighter and also a politician in the later part of India. And therefore, the eminent, there are a lot of celebrities which are from there in the ancient times, in the independence times, the writers, the authors, and people from high constitutional offices. I can keep on talking about, people who were from Patna, the politicians in the entertainment industry. There are lots of people, and in Shatrughan Sinha. In the sports, we know MS Dhoni, and Sabah Karim was another cricketer. A lot of bureaucrats, business inside from Anil Agarwal, Vedanta Resources, a lot of journalists. So this city is endless, Kanchan. So we must visit.
Well, definitely the city has a lot to give, and people should really start taking Patliputra and Patna more seriously. And you just mentioned that Nalanda at once upon a time was burned, but then knowledge was there, so it kept on through the mind share and through the verbal, it kept on going, and still we know what subject are being taught in Nalanda, and we are still in sync with those subjects. But here I think that anybody who is against change, or anybody who is against knowledge, will do these kind of act like burning books or destroying buildings and art and architecture of any city. Now, as you know, everybody knows Patna and Patliputra has a long history, and I'm sure that many travelers must have visited the city. So let's talk about how the city demography is placed in this modern time.
Kanchan, Patna can claim to be one of the first regions in this Indian subcontinent to have established relationship with China. Today, the world talks about China and its might and its manufacturing power, but probably our Buddhist monks understood during Ashoka's times in India the importance of China. And we see the visitors like Fahian, I think Faxian, who came from China. And I have read that Ashoka's children, they became Buddhist monks and they carried Buddhism to the China. And so that is something, a cultural assimilation of one more traveler, Megasthenes. Megasthenes has written vivid, his travelogues when he visited the Pataliputra region, and Indo-Greek ambassador. How come people would know? Just think about it. In those ancient times, how would knowledge travel from one place to another place, that some scholar or a traveler would start, coming down and visiting and staying there. So that's something, a glorious past that the Patliputra or the Patna region carries. In the Middle Ages, Abul Fazl, who was the biographer of Akbar, who wrote Aine Akbari, he has mentioned about Patna being a very, very prosperous city. Later, around the same time, or some Portuguese travel writer actually spoke about that Patna, that region, is about the green mart, or a green mart of the that region, and a lot of trade was happening. So we get to know about from the various visitors about this city. And as we know, Chanakya or Kautilya, he has in his text also, we have heard about this region. So coming to the current set, in the Indian independence movement, Patna played a very, very important role, and in the modern Indian landscape. And in coming from the institutions that this city has, there is an IIT Patna, and then there are a very known college, Anugrah Narayan Singh College, and others as well. I believe there is also an All India Institute of Medical Sciences in the city, and more are being built. You can see behind me image of Patna Museum, one of the very, very important museums of the country. Talking about Nalanda, I feel, Kanchan, I want to share. We have seen in the agricultural context that once a harvest is done by the farmers, many farmers in the old agricultural way of cultivation, they used to burn their, so that a new set of soil comes up, a new set of nutritional value is put into the soil, and so that a new crop, a better crop can come up. So what happened in Nalanda while burning of the books, it was like a reset, so that a new set of more valuable and more customized knowledge can be built again. So yes, Nalanda was never rebuilt, glory, but nevertheless, the knowledge, the wisdom, it traveled, and it has remained in our conscious even till today, and we are proud of it. And that's the beauty of our institutions, whether it is Nalanda or anybody else. There have been multiple instances in India where our important monuments and the libraries and the astronomical places were, crushed or destroyed. Take away the conscious and the learning which is in our head and which flows through in our soul.
Well, rightly mentioned, and knowledge is power. Everybody knows that. And when we have a city which is full of knowledge, and even the kings and the ministers also propagated at one point of time, and they cared about the knowledge. So we have a financial capital Mumbai, we have a political capital Delhi. I can safely say that Patna can have and attain a title of intellectual city of India, because there's so much Patna can offer in terms of knowledge, in terms of new findings, in terms of power to work towards nationalism, and power to have that the farmers, they are ready to accept the new findings, the new technology. Otherwise, if you really see Indians, they are always open to accept new things, and they had been doing for many years. From maybe we can safely say from antiquity, they are accepting new ideas. But Patna has a special place because that can safely become a center of intellectual upliftment and propagating of Indian roots, Indian culture, especially in young generation. And in this way, they can give knowledge and information about our country, which is great and which will remain great. Any last thoughts, Sitesh?
How can I forget the Harmandir Sahib, the 10th Guru of the Sikh? Guru Gobind Singh was born here. And Patna's Harmandir Sahib, Takht Harmandir Sahib, is one of the holiest places of Sikhs, apart from the other centers. And this also, reminds the Patna's multicultural, dimensional, multi-layered thoughts and philosophies built over centuries. And that is something very, very important for all of us to know. I mentioned about Bodh Gaya. I mentioned about the Mughal influence, the Portuguese influence, the British influence, the Rajgir, which was the capital of the Magadh empires. And how can we forget about the food, Kanchan? The very specific sweet Rajgir's khaja. I have found its similar version in Durban, which is actually coming from Mauritius, because of the people who traveled from the Bihar in the British times. Then sattu ka sharbat, parathas, and stuffed with roasted gram flour, litti, and there is curries, but you get all kinds of food in Patna city. Very, very, full with energy, full with, people are aware of their cultural heritage, the pride, and I believe the modern young, professionals would do much to the Patna city as well as their state.
Well, you just mentioned litti and chokha, and really I started feeling hungry. But anyhow, I would like to know how you will summarize the city in one sentence.
Energy, full of energy, cultural, food, pride, and being in the seat of an ancient culture and carrying the soul of ancient India from Ashoka's days, from Kautilya's days, and then is taking it forward towards the Middle Ages of Sher Shah, who actually challenged the Mughal Empire before the British did, and then helping build, a very, very strong part of the modern Indian side, and a city which has a great pride in itself. You meet any person from Bihar, Kanchan, and just ask him about Patna, him or her, you will know.
Well, as usual, it is so wonderful to talk to you and know about the city and remember few instances which have a connection with the city. So we'll be meeting again, Sitesh, and we'll discuss another city which will be crucial and interesting for our viewers. Till then, bye-bye and you take care.
Thank you, Kanchan. Have a great day.
Hello, welcome to Akulmach Live. I'm Kanchan Verma, and today in this episode, we are discussing how to become a good public relation professional. A PR is critical to businesses, and a good PR story is far more better than a front page ad. To discuss about this topic more, we have guests today. So stick around to this episode till the end to find out about the finer points for becoming a public relation professional. Hello friends, welcome again, and we have a very interesting guest today, Ritu Gupta. So welcome to the show. Ritu, how are you doing today?
Thank you, Kanchan, for inviting me to the show, and I'm absolutely fine. Thank you so much.
Well, Ritu, pandemic is there and lot of job opportunities are not as good available to the people as it used to be pre-pandemic. So now, but one industry which I would like to talk about is public relation industry, and you are from public relation industry. So tell me about this industry.
Kanchan, this public relation industry is very interesting industry. And if you are, I'll tell you, the growth, the success rate, the new opportunities, it's very high in this industry, whether it's pandemic or no pandemic. The work is always going on. You are always there dealing with your clients. You're always doing something or the other. Let it be any kind of industry, whether it's hospitality, education, or the media industry itself. The work is always going on. And this is one industry, if you are, interested in meeting people, interested in licensing, interested in branding, promotion, publicity, then I must say any child, any fresher, any person who's interested in all these things and looking out for new avenues every day should try to join this industry.
Well, generally it is said that this industry belongs to women because you will find more women employees, and I feel is that women are more capable of doing multitasking. That is one thing which is being admired by the industry, and I think strategical strategic communication is also one thing which is very much required in public relation, and women are at the best. So what is your opinion on this or your ideas on this?
Absolutely. I agree with you that this industry belongs to women, although there are men also, and men have done very well. But then somehow this industry belongs to women. It welcomes them with open arms. The reason being is this, that women are very honest. They are very good in analytical thinking. They are absolutely good in giving presentations, meeting clients, communication skills. In public relations, you have to talk to your clients all the time, explain to them about the various strategies. Why are you doing certain kind of strategies? Why are you taking certain kind of course? So the patience level, the way they explain the things with all the pros and cons, the way they, charm the client. Let me use the word, the charming the client, the way they explain things. This is one industry which is very welcoming. So the reason being, they are honest. They are very good analytical thinkers, and they know how to give presentation with lots of patience.
Well, we had been hearing storytelling from my grandmothers, and you must have heard the storytelling. But I think when we're talking about public relation industry, the way the story is being told gives revenue. It enhances the opportunities for getting a mind share and the footfall. So that is something very good, and I think women gel with this kind of activity. But here one thing which I want to maybe express my feeling, that all the leadership in any industry goes to men. So this industry is gender biased?
This industry is not gender biased, whereas I've seen that women are leading. You go to any hotel, and if you see the PR head, it is always the woman. I myself was a PR head in one of the NGOs for more than 6 years. So this industry is not, they will not say, okay, we want men to head the industry. This is not at all chauvinistic or industry which is biased towards men. It is open for both. And somehow, in PR industry, in many of the verticals of PR, I find that women are heading the verticals, and it is very good. Hospitality, even the education industry, the women are heading the PR cells.
Of course, times are changing, and so is the attitude towards women. So is the opportunities for the women in the business and in other sectors. But somehow, when we were, I mean, I am also from advertising background, and when we were in working in a company, and always you feel a man leading any organization. So I think that we should change, I think, because women do have leadership skills, and they are very multitasking souls.
Yes.
So that is one thing which has to look into. Now I would like to tell somebody who is a fresher and now who's looking towards getting a job in public relation, what is the preparation he should be doing?
See, any fresher should, if they are looking out to get into the public relation industry, they should have the required qualification. They should be graduate, and they should have the required diploma, degree, certificate in the particular program in public relations, or they can do it in mass communication. And they should have love to meet people. You should know how to sell out your proposals. You should know that, and if you don't have those qualities, they can develop their soft skills. They should develop their good communication skills, because at the end of the day, in public relations, all you need is good communication skills. You should know how to speak to your clients. You should know how to tell the story about your product, your company, your idea you are doing the public relations for. And you should have that go-getting attitude. You should have analytical skills, and you should love talking and meeting people.
Well, great. Actually, as you mentioned, the communication skills and other analytical skills, I think that is always required when you are doing, we are heading a business, or you want to do, in case if you are into education also, there also you require some communication skill to deal with the students, deal with the parents. So that is something very essential. Suppose, because this is very critical question when I'm asking you, because I am from an advertising background, and I always loved people who are in public relation, and there's a lot of pressure for pressure on these professionals. So suppose if somebody wants to change from one horizontal to another, how it is possible? Suppose somebody wants to change from advertising or marketing and enter into public relation. What is the preparation which is required for that person?
I have seen personally what you are saying. I've seen personally people getting from advertising to public relations, and from marketing to public relations. And so this is, public relations go hand in hand with the marketing and advertising. Not much preparation is required. It is just that you should love the thing, your particular project. You should know about your product, because public relation is a subtle form of marketing. It's not direct marketing, but it is helping out the marketing and the sales department. It is helping out the advertising department. So you should have knowledge for all these things. But at the end of the day, you should have your own brains to tell out the story, to promote the product, to meet the client. And at the end of the day, you should be a go-getter. You should always chase your clients and let them know that you do exist in the market. This is what promotions is all about. Whether you are there sitting at home in pandemic, or you are not there, you are going out, but your product, your stories should always be there in front of your clients, in their brains. This is the attitude you should have. So good communication skills, and to know how to leave a lasting impression on the people you meet, your prospective clients, your present clients, your would-be clients. You should know how to make good impression on them. So these are the things, small things that one should know. And one should also love, looking good, dressing up nicely, meeting people, should know certain qualities of liveliness, should know certain qualities of making short talks also. These are the things one should know.
Well, definitely, as you mentioned, a very important point that you have to be positive. You should have a good communication skill. You're ready to take up the challenges. So I think that is what required to be a good public relation professional. And in the last, I just want to add that the impact in businesses done through public relation is far better and far effective when giving any one page advertisement. So that is one thing. So any last thought you would like to tell the people who are interested to make their career in public relation industry?
I would definitely tell people that they should definitely try out their hands in public relations, and I'm sure they will not get out of this industry because this industry is full of activity. It is a very charming industry. It's a very peppy industry. Things never die out. You're always trying out the new strategies. You're always living up to the present time, whatever the situation may be. And that's the challenge of this industry. And people who are in this industry love taking up these challenges. So I will tell people to definitely try their hands. They will never leave the industry.
Well, it was so lovely to talk to you and get your insight about the industry and how people can join public relation and make their career, and maybe people who have deemed to be a PR professional. I think this is the way which is being told and discussed by Ritu today. So we'll meet Ritu again in the next episode. Till then, bye-bye, and you take care.
Bye-bye. Take care. Thank you so much.
Hello, friends. Welcome to Akulmach Live. And in this series of understanding grapho analysis, grapho therapy, we are actually having discussion with Naveen Toshniwal for past couple of weeks. And today we want to discuss yet again with Naveen, and he will tell us something very interesting. So without further ado, let's welcome him.
हेलो कैसे हैं आप
Welcome to the show, Naveen. We are all fine and hope you're taking care, because I think yellow alert has been announced in North India because of the cold wave. Hope things are fine at Jaipur as well.
Yeah, it's all fine, and in fact we are used to this cold at this time of the season, so it's perfectly fine. We are prepared, we are having mufflers and sweaters, so it's fine.
Great. I think your subject of grapho analysis has really, triggered the interest level of our viewers. And I think today you want to tell us something very, very interesting, specifically regarding one particular letter. So over to you, Naveen. All ears. We want to hear what you want to tell us today.
Yeah, I think in last couple of sessions I had told you about the slant of the handwriting, and probably the upper loops, lower loops, and A's and O's, and the way you are writing M's and N's. I think we have discussed this in the earlier episodes. Now, T is one of the very important letters in handwriting analysis. And in fact, the book from where I've read, it has got 3 chapters on T. So, of course, I will briefly show you in the chart what various types of T will mean. See, now here, this is a normal T. I hope you can see it. And this T bar is crossing the T stem. And this T bar is slightly on the higher side. So this sort of T bar, which is closer towards the top, but not going above the stem, this shows people who are ambitious and they have a well-defined long-term goal. This T bar is going above the stem. This indicates people who are actually overthinkers. They think too much, and the actions to achieve their thinking is not there. they will go on thinking, I'll do this, I should do this, but that is all in thought. They will practically not do anything to achieve it. Now here you see a T bar is going low. This sort of low T bar indicates people who are lacking confidence or who have self-doubt. These people, they might be having difficulty in trying to initiate something. Even if they are trying to initiate, they may get self-doubt and they might leave the task in between. Now, this T stem, you will see it has got a sort of inverted V formation. This indicates people who are stubborn, jiddi. They are a difficult nut to crack. Now here the T bar is going to the right of the stem. This indicates people who have short temper. Here the T bar is going to the left of the stem. This indicates people who have procrastination, habit of keeping things pending or delaying decisions. Now here you see there is a T bar which has got a hook. This hook indicates people who have got jealousy or they have got some sort of greed in them. So it's not a good stroke. Now here the T bar is starting thick and finishing in a point. This sort of T bar indicates people who are sarcastic. They have sarcasm in them. The T bar with a down slant indicates people who are dominating. They have tendency to dominate. A T bar slanting up indicates people who are optimistic, positive thinkers. Okay, now let's come to the next line. Here you will see the T bar is hardly visible. It's very, very small. It's almost like a dot, the T bar. This indicates people who are lacking willpower. They are not able to exactly give themselves a push to do something. Now, this one is having a curved T bar, convex if you look, concave if you look from the top, and this T bar is having a concave shape. It is a curved T bar. This sort of curved T bar indicates people who have got good self-control. Now, self-control can be related to small things like, I want to do this, or if you've got diabetes, I should avoid sweets. If you've got like BP, you should avoid salt. And it may also indicate more important things like, suppose you realize that you have some negative traits in you, which you are consciously trying to get over. That is also a good sign of self-control. Now here the T bar is having a wave sort of formation. This indicates people who have a good sense of humor.
Yes, I think there are a lot of lot of variation in tea, and that determines how difficult it is to understand the character of the person. There are 24.
Sorry, there was a slight disconnection. Sorry, there was a slight disconnection. So now I'm back. Okay. So this sort of initial long stroke over here, this indicates people who have got resentment. They resent some old episodes which they are not able to get over or forget. Now, this is a T bar where a T bar and T stem are joined together. See, these are two examples where the T stem and T bar are joined. This is a positive stroke. This indicates people who are persistent. They will not leave anything if they start it. They will leave it only after they are able to finish the assignment. Now, another thing is you have a short T bar and a long, short T stem and a long T stem. A short T stem indicates people who are independent. They are not bothered. People, they know exactly what they are doing. They are not dependent on others. A long T bar indicates people who have vanity or pride. So it may tend to be a negative stroke if there is too much of it. So these are some various varieties of T's which we find in the handwriting. And as I told you earlier, it is the repetition of the strokes which carry the most important value. The particular strokes which are repeated more number of times, that particular trait has a more prominence in your characteristics. So I hope this will give you some idea the importance of T in the various ways the T's can be written.
Well, Naveenji, it is so amazing to even hear from you about just one alphabet, which is T. And there are 24 in English language, and there could be, I mean, if you look at other languages, there are more alphabets. So it could be very, very complicated, to understand the character of the person looking at the handwriting. Because if you look at combination itself using the formula of probability, it could be millions of combinations which will then filter down into a character of the person, isn't it, Naveen?
Yeah, it is, no doubt it is complicated. It's a very not so easy to learn science, but then again it is very accurate. And after so much knowledge gaining and experience, it is quite easy for me now. But as you rightly said, if for a beginner, it will not be so easy to understand. It takes time because it's a vast subject. And whatever we are discussing here is maybe just 2 or 3% of this subject. And even today, I am also learning. There are many strokes, weird strokes, which I see in the handwriting, which I am not able to understand. So I have to try and analyze what that stroke means. And I also know someone in America who is an expert in this field. I have to consult him also, that please guide me what this particular stroke means. So learning, as I told you, is a lifelong process.
Certainly, Naveen. In fact, you were also mentioning about the therapy, because having identified certain negative traits, you can then help people to overcome those negative traits. So I think we don't want to talk too much about it. We will have that area covered about, especially about therapy, in the next session, which is next Monday. But you can tell us how actually it works, so that our viewers know that even if some negative traits they have, which they were not aware, and handwriting is telling them, those can be corrected, those can be rectified. A few words from you, Naveen.
Yeah, see, actually, therapy is a very proven part of graphoanalysis and graphotherapy. If you do it sincerely, you just have to devote about 5 minutes a day for 3 weeks. Practice the stroke changes, and you will yourself be able to see or witness the change in yourself within a small duration of this 3 weeks. But remember, therapy is something which is always individualistic. Same therapy cannot be applied for everyone. If someone lacks willpower, the therapy for willpower has to be given. If someone is having short temper, the therapy for that stroke has to be given. Someone lacking self-confidence, another stroke has to be changed. So it all depends on what therapy is applicable for particular people. Accordingly, the therapy is given to them.
Certainly, Naveen, I think it was a very interesting session we had today to understand implications of how do you write T and what it means when it talks about your character. It was very, very interesting. But I think in the next session, we will know a little bit more about the therapy, how therapy is given, and like you very briefly told that it's a 3 weeks program, but then is it permanent, not permanent? We will discuss all of that in the next session, Naveen. Thank you so much for joining us today, and hope to see you again in the new year, or maybe before that.
Yeah, let's hope so. Actually, next week I would be traveling, so I will let you know whether we'll be able to do it next week. Otherwise, week after next is for sure.
So enjoy your holidays. Merry Christmas to you, and wish you all the success in your endeavor towards which you are heading to. And I will catch up with you next Monday, Naveen. It was always a pleasure to talk to you.
My pleasure too. Thank you so much.
Hello, friends. In fact, in our session today, we want to discuss very chronic subject which is affecting everyone, and that is about restarting our work. We have been in lockdown for almost 18 months, and now people are getting back to work, and there is a lot of discussion about hybrid workforce. To discuss this matter, I have a very important, very eminent personality joining from Singapore. Her name is Farida Charania, and she is a CEO of Career Zoom. And she is expert in HR and also learning and development. So I think she is the best person to answer this question. So let's welcome her. How are you, Farida? Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I'm doing very well, CK. How are you, and how are our viewers? More importantly, I just wanted to kind of come here and connect again with our viewers. So yeah, I'm so looking forward to this discussion.
Well, I think this is a very important point that you've raised. The viewers are actually confused, including myself. There is a lot of conversation. 1 week we are open, next week we are again closed down, and then we keep hearing news about the third wave, which never came. So I think there is a lot of confusion, and the companies have to restart their business in a way that the life normalization should happen. So I think there is a lot of conversation on hybrid. And I think we need clarity. Our viewers would need a lot of clarity. What is your opinion, Farida ji?
Okay, so thanks, CK. This is a very important question. And, now more than 18 months into the lockdown or partial lockdown, open, close game, I think it's becoming a serious issue. Because if someone has been in a job for a while, hybrid is fantastic for them. If someone has been working from home, and they are mid-career, it's fantastic because it actually, kind of ties into their personal aspirations. They get time to do things with their family. They are able to kind of, save the travel time, etc. And they have already passed that phase where, mentorship, companionship could be formed in the early stages because they already have that network. The problem is when the young adults who get into the workforce, if they start working remote, initially maybe they kind of find it very exciting because your world is very large. You have opportunities globally, and you are doing what you were meant to do, but you do lose out on interaction, a social life within your workspace, mentorship, and most importantly the opportunity to learn from others. Because in isolation, it is, however sexy it sounds, that you can work from home. So you can kind of really slide from your bed straight to your chair and start working. You don't need to dress up, so you can actually have your probably your Christmas on top and 4th of July on the bottom. But the point is that this whole thing about working from home has not only caused a lot of fatigue, and it's not just the Zoom fatigue that we are talking about, but it has caused the mental isolation is becoming a serious issue now. So I think while hybrid is to stay, there is some interaction which is definitely very important.
Well, Farida, I think the hybrid is about going to work few days and then staying back home few days. And in fact, I like the analogy that you described, straight slide down like a slider into your office desk. I love it, actually. In fact, if we have that technology with us. However, is there an alternative? I mean, hybrid we are talking about is the most ideal condition, but I don't see this ending. Is there an alternative, or is there a need for a new kind of a system? I think there's a whole lot of confusion is there in terms of what people should be preparing to do. And I think you raised a very important point about the youngsters who are just starting the job. They don't know how the office looks like. They don't know how to work. They have no idea. So I think this is something that we need clarity on. What is your opinion, Farida?
I think, as you rightly said, hybrid is here to stay, because it's not about, reopening and things like that, but it's also that companies probably realize the value that you can release a lot of real estate if it's hybrid. You can have hot desks, people can come into office as and when, unless, it's a kind of an organization which needs people to be present. So while all of this is happening, there is this issue where, new joiners, especially because new joiners, if it's specifically if it's their first job, it's never an easy journey. So some good things that have happened during this recent times is that some onboarding processes have been defined very clearly, because it used to be so. There is an anecdote that I would share. A friend of mine told me some time ago that if there is no definition, there is no product. And we as an organization are selling this product for years. So there is no clear definition. In the past, there was no clear definition of how the onboarding. So there is guidance, but there wasn't a definition. There wasn't a system. There wasn't centralized. So if it's a large company, every country works in their silos. And furthermore, if it's a very large company, then every office in that particular country also works in silos. But what has happened is, because of this whole hybrid working environment, processes have been streamlined. So you get the information that you need on your day one, etc. You're welcome and all of that. And then, you do Zoom meeting with your colleagues, and you actually, you do that in a very systematic fashion, because there is no longer the liberty of, knowing people at the coffee machine or, at the water cooler or, on your bathroom breaks. You don't meet people. So this is a very serious issue. One recommendation, which, and I have said this many times and I would say it again, that yes, hybrid is ideal, but when there are new joiners, maybe that hybrid could be a little more little more structured for them. So they can come into office probably, for a few days. They can come into office every day, so they get to meet people who are on round robin. They get to meet with people. They are able to actually at least give a face to the name, because Zoom, any video conferencing is not like meeting in person. It isn't. Initially, honestly, I have traveled so much over the years that I absolutely loved it, that I don't need to travel. My clients are not expecting me to be there, and they are happy to have these online meetings. I'm able to close deals online, etc., etc. But today, I do feel that fatigue myself. So if me being 20 years in the business, if I can feel the fatigue, then somebody who's just started a year or two ago, who's not even had a chance to build those relationships, would experience this a lot more. And also there's this new culture which has come up because of this whole, hybrid working, that you have back-to-back Zoom meetings, which is actually very tiring, because, people like us, who probably are contributors to most meetings, you cannot switch off your camera and relax. There are people who can do that if they are just participating, but people who have to be an active part of that meeting, they cannot just simply relax and just switch off their camera. So it's very tiring, because you're working. Again, the boundaries of your work time have kind of, because your work time is gone into your personal space, your personal time has creeped into your work time. So, you have that 1 hour, you take that lunch break, and that lunch break, you want to get your laundry done, you want to do this, you want to do that. In an office, you don't do that. In an office, you're very focused. So all of this is unfortunately not very ideal. Some people like it, but for someone who just starts working, it is a very, very difficult situation, because it's like I heard this the other day. I was having a meeting with a few interns who work with me, and I heard someone's mother actually calling him in the background that it is lunchtime. why are you not coming here? And I want you to clear the table before everyone sits down. And she didn't know I was on the call and I could hear it. So sometimes, it becomes very embarrassing for those people as well. But these are again trivial things. I think the main thing I do worry about the younger generation who's just started working about their mental health. Because in isolation, it's very difficult to scale, to grow, to, learn more things. Ideal recommendation would be that the hybrid probably is a good way forward, but people who just start working, they should have the flexibility to kind of go into office more often so they can meet everyone.
Well, Farida, in fact, thinking about the old times before 2019, when we used to interview people, we used to ask them question, hey, what is your experience? How many people you know? What you can do for me? I think those questions are not relevant in any job interview today because, whether 100 people or 1,000 people doesn't matter because how many people you know on the internet is what matters today. So even if you work with 100 CEOs, it won't matter, it won't bring any value. So I think the whole scenario is changing. Any opinion on this one?
I think so. So, I would kind of, share an anecdote, which I love doing. So, a while ago, I actually read this joke where there was a funeral and there were 3 people at the funeral. And, people were asking each other, but, he's very popular. He has 5,000 friends on Facebook. But so that's the world that we are living in today. Honestly, your Rolodesk is becoming very useless right now, because if you are actually, if you say that many people, it doesn't matter, because if you work for a large organization, let's take this example. I come from HSBC. So from HSBC, if I call a client, they're going to talk to me because I may be a very normal person, a very small person, but the organization I work for isn't, and they will talk to you. Now, the thing is, when I'm calling them in my own capacity, will they still talk to me? And the difference is, will they still entertain me? So today that, knowing somebody has become as irrelevant as that, because honestly, if you are going to an organization which is expecting you to bring your entire network with you, you are only bringing your LinkedIn network, honestly, because you are not going to events, you are only attending events virtually. So that, whole recognition, that connection, that's not happening. In fact, yesterday, it's been 2 years since I actually presented at Slush in Helsinki in Finland. And yesterday I had that reminder on Facebook. And I was just thinking that it's been so long since I actually spoke at a conference in front of so many people. And I don't know if this is going to continue. That actually got us, to our round of funding and so many things. And all of that is very difficult to do virtually. I don't know. I have managed to raise another round of funding for one of my entities recently, but that's a small seed round. And I don't know if I will be able to replicate that success for Series A if I have to still do it virtually. You still need to meet your investors. They need to have that confidence in you, as a founder. They need to kind of, believe in your ability to take this business from point A to point B. So I don't know if I can make that connection, over a video conference. Maybe 5 years down the line, when people get used to only video conferences, it could be possible, but I find it very difficult.
Well, Farida, I think extending my previous question about building your personal brand, and that is more valuable. I think that is a totally different stream. We will discuss that some other day. But I think the personal brand vis-a-vis the type of industry that you are employed in. So, for example, when we talk about work from home and virtual office, etc., may be relevant for certain industry, but then there are certain industries who have already invested in capital and they are stuck with those machineries. And there is no second thought about working from home. I mean, there is no way the industry can work from home. So in that situation, what will happen to those industries who don't have liberty to work from home? I think that is a big segment that we are ignoring, isn't it?
Well, I don't think we are ignoring that segment. because that segment actually is very important, because that is where your manufacturing happens. That's where your logistics take place. So I mean, a logistics company cannot afford to have workers working from home. So even during lockdown, most of these facilities were working, and as an exception, these workers were in their workplaces. So I don't think we are ignoring them. I just think that this particular question is not relevant to them. This particular worry is not so relevant to them. They have other worries, because with all of these lockdowns, their capacity to kind of do more work goes down. Their capacity, the demand for their goods probably go down. Logistics is not going down by any stretch of imagination. That's the only one which is kind of boomed. So if you look at virtual platforms or logistics, these are businesses which have boomed during this time. So I don't know, and also I don't think I'm in a position, or I am educated enough in that area to make a comment. But where I'm coming from is mostly organizations which work from home is not ideal for a bank also, but no choice, they have to work from home in these constant lockdown situations. So I'm talking about these workers because a lot of young people join organizations, or rather have joined organizations in the last 1.5 years. They have started on a hybrid model, and eventually they have only worked from home. Like in Singapore, work from home is still default, so you can't go into your offices. So I have not met most of my new joiners. I've just met them virtually. I've interviewed them virtually, I've hired them virtually, and they will finish their internships also virtually, and I don't think I will meet them. So that is the thing, because now people look very different on camera as well. Young people, they kind of do all kind of stuff like putting filters and makeup and everything, and I don't know, if I see them in a mall I might recognize them. So there is no connection building that is happening. I might not have an opportunity to kind of crack a joke with them, because I don't know them well enough, and they might not have the confidence that they can do it with me, because they don't know me well enough.
And I think that is why we must talk about the mental health issues, because I think the overall development of a human being is happening in a different direction right now. What is your opinion on this one?
I think it's a big issue. CK, I have experienced, bereavement within very close circle, and it is a serious issue. So, younger people getting stressed out with this whole pandemic situation and working from home is definitely a big issue. But I do see professionals who are, our peers in our age group. I have seen bereavement there as well. So I know of this one person who was doing very well. He was an MD at one of the big fours. He was staying alone in Singapore, away from home, Swiss, national, and away from home for so long, right? I think he just couldn't take it. He just ended it all. And who actually thinks that a 38-year-old will finish everything, will not have will to fight any longer? So loneliness, lethargy of this whole pandemic, the whole momentum of not really going anywhere, just being on your own gets to people. So mental health is a very big problem. The helplines in the UK, they've never been so busy. I've worked very closely with someone from NHS for one of my projects in the UK, and they are from the psychiatry department. So they are a consulting psychiatrist in that area. And what I understand is that helpline is constantly busy because a lot of people are calling for help. Good part is there is help available, but not everyone is actually. I think the very young generation, children who are growing up, they might get used to it because they are even schooling in Zoom. So, they are actually doing virtual classes and all of that. So for them, it might be a way of life. But people who are in their 20s, they didn't grow up this way. They didn't grow up in isolation. They grew up with a community. So in the workplace, if they are in isolation, it is a big worry.
Yeah, certainly. In fact, there is even a bigger menace which nobody talks about, sort of ignore, is the anxiety. I think that is also there. In fact, there is huge anxiety among people, isn't it? What is your experience, Farida?
I think I have never seen so much anxiety in the workplace. Honestly, it might be a very crude statement and it might be a blanket statement, but and you know that my work is that I speak to people all the time, and people are anxious that I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. Does my boss like me? Does my boss not like me? Am I actually doing my work well? Because I'm not getting any feedback. Because see, as a new joiner, honestly, whether you like it or not, you are on the lowest rung of priorities in a company. Somebody who's running that department doesn't so while what you contribute is important, but for them, they want to focus, because they are also remote, they want to focus on what actually their job really is, what they need to deliver. So they don't have time for fluff, and people are dealing with not just work from home, but they are dealing with children studying from home. Not everyone has large houses, so they are dealing with a lot of things, and nobody is going to sit down and mollycoddle people. I mean, things like mentoring, finding yourself, blah, blah, blah. All of these things are not happening in today's world. So it is a big issue, because anxiety is of not knowing what exactly is in store for you. Are you performing well? Are you being liked by your peers? Do your colleagues actually, kind of, can they make a connection with you? And it's not, but to all our viewers, I would just say one thing, that you are not alone. Even we, after 20 years of being in the industry, we also experience that. Yeah. And I'm sure people who have been in the industry for 40 years also experience that. So it is, you are not alone. All of us have that anxiety. I have the anxiety because I don't know what I'm talking right now. Is my audience actually connecting with me? Are they actually finding it useful? I don't know. Maybe CK has that anxiety that, what, I don't know if Farida is, talking to me for what reason. I don't know if CK really likes me. So all of these anxieties would be much lesser. They would still be there, but it would be much lesser if we were to meet in person, if we had the opportunity to make that connection. So my thing is that maybe I am not an authority on this, and I don't understand mental health as well as I should, because I'm not a trained professional, but I see a lot of people, and I think this whole anxiousness is become part and parcel of being in your work life. And it is a serious issue. This needs to be addressed in some way or the other, not wait for it to kind of die down, because otherwise it will become like COVID, where certain countries took a stand that they want to get the mass immunity, and the cost for that was several million lives. So probably this is something which is, the writing is on the wall, and it shouldn't be taken very lightly.
Well, certainly not. I think it should not be taken lightly. In fact, nowadays there is so much information available today that in case if you have symptoms of invisible anxiety, you should consult a physician or consult the proper doctor. And none of us are expert, but I think we can only talk like human beings, where we realize that there are certain hidden things which are happening. So Farida, thank you so much for joining us today and giving your views on how the industry will shape up, whether hybrid or non-hybrid, what are the footfalls. I think these are very interesting questions that we have raised, and you have raised especially today. We don't know how it will eventually pan out after 2 years, but today these are the things which are affecting all of us. So thank you so much for joining us today, Farida.
Thank you so much, CK. I always love coming on your show, and I love our viewers, because sometimes we get some very interesting questions, and those are sometimes discussion points for our next discussion. So thank you very much for inviting me, and thank you, viewers, for sharing your time with us. We really appreciate. If you have questions, CK will have the email ID out there after the after this show. Please reach out to us, and if there is anything that we can help, feel free to ask. We may or may not be able to help you directly, but we can certainly point you in the direction which can help you. So thank you very much. Wish you all a fantastic day, evening, afternoon, wherever you are in the world. And thank you again, CK. Stay well, all of you.
So we had a fantastic conversation with Farida, and if you want to reach out to us, to me, or to Farida, you can use the email which will be published at the end of the program. Or in case you're looking for a job or you have some opportunity that you want to explore, you can reach out to us, and we will make that connection happen with Farida. So I'll say goodbye today, only to catch you in the next one.
Thank you.
Hello friends, welcome to Akulmach Live. I am Kanchan Verma, and today we have a special guest who will be discussing about the importance of trade fairs in public relations. So don't go anywhere. We'll be meeting you again after a few disclaimers. Welcome back, friends. Today we have Ritu Gupta, who is an expert in public relation domain, and today we'll be discussing about how important it is to do a perfect public relation by utilizing the tool exhibitions, trade fairs, trade shows. So welcome to the show. Ritu, how are you doing today?
Thank you, Kanchan. I'm absolutely fine. And it's so nice to be back on your show again. Thank you so much.
It is always a pleasure to hear your thoughts about public relation, and generally it is so good to talk to you. So today, as you know, that we are discussing about how important is trade fairs when we talk about public relation tool.
Yes, Kanchan, trade fair and exhibitions, they're the most important thing in today's world because they're the most accepted medium of public relation for communicating with your customers and with your clients, asking people to come and see your work. So it's a most important medium, and this is accepted everywhere world over. This is a kind of a platform you get where people, they see you, where people, they can come and talk to you, and where you can make your new clients, you can show and talk to the prospective clients, you can do various other things. So but the most important part is to deciding which exhibition to support, because you know you may be in some kind of business. Suppose you are in the business of food. So if you are in the business of food, I think the right medium in India is Ahar exhibition, which is held every year in Pragati Maidan. So you should know where to show yourself, where to be seen, because in today's world, the thing which is seen is sell out also. So it's important that people should see you. And that's the funda for advertising and public relations.
Well, you really mentioned rightly that we need to showcase our product or services. I think trade fair also help business people to showcase or launch a product. And I think that is also being ensured by footfall, because always I have seen that people who visit trade fairs, they have a different type of enthusiasm to really see the product and see the services. So what is your experience regarding these tools? Have you visited, or you must have organized a trade show? So what are those steps one should take?
Okay. So, first of all, you should be very clear what kind of exhibition or trade fair your company wants to participate in until what degree. Number two, you have to have a good briefing about your show or the trade fair, that what you are going to talk to the media, because this is a standard practice that before the launch of any trade fair or exhibition, you always have to talk with media. Every company is given a platform where media comes and talks to them. They ask the question, and then they write an article about you, which goes in all media houses. So it's shown on TV and newspapers, and also you should be very clear how your stall is going to look like, what kind of construction and designing would you be getting into. Number third, the staffing of the stall, which is very important, your staff, because your staff, the people who are going to be there, who are going to be deputed, who are going to be standing there, they are at the end of the day the face of the organization. They are going to talk to the media people also. They are going to talk to the people who just walk in randomly. They touch your things also. They want to know about the organization. So you have to be very calm, very patient, and you need to answer their queries, because one of those people can be converted into your client, into your customer. So your staff should have ample knowledge to answer any kind of question, should be well aware about every product of the organization, the thought process, what organization wants to convey to the people, why they have participated in that particular show, the trade fair, the exhibition. So the staffing is very important, and how you educate your staff, how you train them is also very important.
Well, you rightly said, because the first interaction of any product or service means a lot, as not only to media, but I feel that it is also equally important when there's a layman or somebody who's just walking by and he stops on your stall. So definitely that makes a dent when we are talking about marketing strategies, and this really helps. But what once the exhibition is done, so what a kind of feedback activity one need to do?
Okay, for the feedback activity, there is always a feedback form. There is always a book where people, they come and they drop in their visiting cards. They write about it. But in today's world, when we see things have become very modern, they have upgraded. So you need to have a website also where people, they can write about your things, and immediately, I think instantly the company should make changes accordingly. As far as the feedback in the exhibition goes, it goes max to max about the staff who are there and about the product they have displayed on. So if you can make changes about those things, that's very good about the company. And the feedback is important in the sense, because exhibition, trade fair, all these things are part of public relations, which is an extended part of marketing. So when we are participating in a trade show, we are giving support to the marketing plans of the company for that particular financial year and for the coming financial years also. So the feedback we get, they are actually honest and genuine feedbacks, and the company should go and follow whatever feedback you get, whether it's negative feedback or positive. Positive feedback obviously boosts your morale, but negative feedback is an exercise given to you to improve on your weaker points. So companies should follow the feedbacks.
As you mentioned that this is quite an important activity in public relation arena, and we should use this tool often. So how often a company can organize a public relation activity like this, trade fair and trade shows?
Kanchan, this all depends on the budget of the company. So like the company I was working with, one of the companies, they were very much actively involved in these kind of trade shows, exhibitions and all. So they would set their budget in the month of February. And it's with every organization. The trade companies, they let the people know beforehand. So they set their budget in the month of February and March. So when 1st April onwards, they have an ample budget for their conferences, trade shows and exhibitions. And accordingly, they participate in national, regional, international shows also. And they have the staff, especially who are there to organize, design their stands, design the exhibitions. They have to get their literature printed also. They have to look after the logistics of the staff, the people. So it all depends on the budget of the company. The good companies, they start with smaller budget, but later on when they see the importance of these shows, they increase their budget. And I think it's very important to be seen, because it's important, that people, the footfall, the coming in, the people coming in, the actual people for whom you advertise on TV, they're actually there to see your products, to meet you, to see your ideas, how you display. So it's important for any company, whatever said and done, every company wants to participate in these kind of shows.
Well, as you mentioned that trade fairs and trade shows are very, very integral part of public relation activity and for product launch or kind of interaction or introduction of the product or services. So now suppose if I want to organize a trade show in 22, so when should I start preparation for this seriously? So that when the launch of trade fair is done, it is good, seamless, and we can get more footfalls and mindshare.
Okay, suppose if you want to participate in a trade show, you should plan for next year, which is 2022. And you should make your preparations now onwards. Doing the research work, you should have a research team doing the research work just to see which kind of show your organization fits into. You should have proper team who do the research work, and you should, at present, any trade show which is going on, you should visit them, see how people they design their stand, and you can find out the nuisances while visiting the trade show, so that when you actually participate, you give best of your the best of your organization. You display best of your aspects to the people, to the public. So it is always good to advance 1 year in ahead. You have your financial issues to be settled into. You have your team which team you need to have. Then logistics, all these things are very important. And you should know designing part, briefing part, and you should also be in touch with the media people, that you invite them to their stand, so that when they go back, they write about you also. So the media handling, the staffing, the briefing, the printing part, what you exactly would give out to the people who visit to your show. You hand over your souvenirs or your brochures. So the language, the color scheme, everything. So it takes 1 year time. And when companies, they do these work, the ones who become very professional, they are always ready to participate in any kind of exhibition. They're always ready, because they have proper department which is always doing these kind of work. So randomly, if they have to participate in any kind of exhibition, they are ready with everything.
Well, I think based on your our discussion today, I think exhibition is very, very critical and integral part of any public relation activity. So as usual, Ritu, I am so pleased to talk to you regarding exhibition and trade fairs today. So we'll be meeting again with some thought-provoking idea of public relation. Till then, bye-bye and take care.
Hello friends, this is Chandrakant from Akulmach Technologies, and today we are going to meet a fantastic leader who joins us from UK. His name is Mike Bradley, and he is the Group Strategy Officer of RHF Group and Scale Up Arena. So without further ado, let's meet Mr. Mike Bradley.
Hello, Chandra.
So welcome to the Likeable Leaders, Mike, and our audience would like to know more about you. You are an accomplished leader with more than 2 decades of work experience. You've had many successes, many experiences along the way. So why don't you share your story, how you became Mike Bradley, the Chief or a Group Strategy Officer or RHF at Scale Up Arena, as we see you today?
Okay. Yes, thank you very much for that, Chandra, and good to meet you again. And yes, my journey, I suppose, has come through the tech sector principally, and been in that for you're very generous with 2 decades. It's been a bit longer than that actually, but I don't normally admit it. And so yes, I was working for an IT manufacturer, which was an interesting position and role. I was on the tech side, on the technical side, so it was quite heavy technical at one stage. Then I was at a very young age training manager for UK and Ireland for the tech people within that business. So I was immediately interested in people, and I guess that's sort of been a underlying interest right the way throughout my career. I was also from an early stage involved in channel and developing businesses in conjunction with the company, and that again has been an underlying route. So through the course of time, I've been in running businesses for IT distribution companies, been in sales, of course, always wanting and looking forward to getting into general management. I like the intellectual challenge. I love an intellectual challenge, variety, adventure, international work, working with people around the globe. So yes, strategic and corporate development. So it naturally came to where we are now. Always been interested in people around the world, the international scene. Also always interested in current affairs, what makes people tick, and working with people.
Amazing story, Mike. I think you are a great leader and you have seen the transformation. And I really beg your pardon, basically, for saying 2 decades. In fact, it should be 3 decades. So, what is your observation and learning from the transition of industry over last 3 decades?
Well, I think obviously the last 3 decades has seen a massive change from traditional communication into digital communication. And I think that has probably been the largest change that we have seen. I was in the early stages selling email, which seems crazy now to think we actually had to tell people what this concept was at one stage. But then, of course, it moved on. We replaced, telex with fax. Then fax disappeared. Then we went into audio conferencing. This idea of talking around the globe on the telephone. Then we went into web sharing, and things like WebEx came on the scene, and the products that would enable us to communicate in real time across the globe, internally in organizations and then externally. And then there's things like digital exhibitions, webinars. Here we are talking across the globe online. That I think has been the biggest change. And for me, there's a tremendous amount of potential in communication. The more we communicate, there's always a downside, but the majority of us, we can gain so much by talking, interacting, supporting each other on a global basis. And that's been a massive positive change for the whole world.
So I see the Scale Up Arena behind you, the logo and the name of your company. So at this point, let's learn a little bit about what is Scale Up Arena, what type of activities your company is doing, and what is your spread.
Okay, well, Scale Up Arena is there to support growing companies that are seeking growth. And there's 2 classifications we're all familiar with. There's startups and there's scale-ups. Okay, so you've got the early stage, the ideas, then you've got a startup, and the startup is traditionally the person that goes to the bank, says, I'm starting a new business. They spend 2 hours having a chat with the bank manager, telling them all about what they're going to do. The bank manager says, sign this piece of paper, and then says, I'll send you a debit card in the post and come and talk to me in 2 years when you've got some money. And that's the startup we're all familiar with. Then there's the scale-ups, which has become more popular as a term, which is very rapid growth companies. that are 3 years of 20% year-on-year growth with 10 people at the start of that counting period. Now, if you think about it, between startup and scale up, there's probably a minimum of 3 years, possibly 4 or 5. And I term those emerge ups. That gap is emerging companies. They're not startups, they're faster than that. They started to get traction. But the challenge is there's a big gap with nobody addressing and supporting that marketplace. So I put together Scale Up Arena as the first ecosystem, community, online digital community, online ecosystem, as a way for those emerge up companies to reach that scaling place and scale ups, hopefully, where they can basically get the 5 pillars of growth, which historically have been silo-ized and people have categorized them. So all these companies need resources, they need funding, finance, they need partnering, M&A and joint ventures, which is of course my background, so I'm passionate about that. And part of the growth story, you can't have a growing company without having partnering and channels to market. Then the third area is you need to be able to showcase that product or that shop window, which is the sort of third pillar of Scale Up Arena, a place where you can put an elevator pitch, a multimedia pitch that enables the company to be seen and found rather than going into this needle in the haystack approach on Google. And then fourthly, there's the importance of things like tutoring, training, learning and development. We never stop learning. It's a lifelong journey, as you know. But in order to optimize opportunities, you need to be able to keep up to date, particularly in the tech space, where you've got products obsoleting every 6 months. So you've got to keep learning. And so within that pillar, we have things like multicast like this, podcasts, people that are sharing their expertise, knowledge to support. And then finally, there's expert advisory or micro consulting, Micron as I call it, which enables those growing companies who need the skills of a multinational. They need a marketeer, they need a finance officer, they need a strategy officer, they need corporate support, tax incentives, but they actually maybe can't afford to have those people full time when they're emerging, but they could actually have them on a gig economy basis, a part-time basis, an iteration for a particular project, for a particular intervention, maybe weekly as opposed to every day. So those are the 5 pillars that Scale Up Arena provides on a global basis. You asked about scope. We have online meetings where we have people from around the world. We've got people from China, India, Africa, UK, America, though they don't join our virtual meetings because it tends to be in the morning and they're still sleeping. But we have interactions with those people around the globe, again, supporting that whole area that is vital for growth, which is the ability to, what I call it, connect, communicate, collaborate, cooperate, and then to close, because that's what it's all about.
So what it takes for the emerging companies to leverage the platform is basically a sign up or something else?
Well, they can become engaged in lots of ways, actually. They can become like a member of the ecosystem. Scale Up Arena is a general one. We've just launched one called Insure Scale Up for the insurance space. We are also likely to be putting up another one soon for healthcare and life sciences. We've got geographic areas, so we're talking about doing one for India and one for the African region as well, 33 countries. Scale Up Arena will still be like the top, the root of all of that, but they basically become a member. And when they become a member, we give them an induction program and an optimization guide. And it's a real givers get community. So, you know, like everything in life, you've got to, what you put into it is what you'll get payback on. And so it's all about collaborating and communicating together, referring is a key part of it. We all know if we're trying to sell or buy something, a referral is worth a ton of advertising. So we encourage referrals right across the ecosystem. We encourage the members to have a listing for their company in the showcase, a expertise listing in the micro consulting expert area, and then also a vital, I think, is not just to provide information for learning and development and tutoring and training, but to actually use that as a soft sell, because a lot of us don't know what we don't know. So I recommend that they come up with an online briefing about their subject matter, because they're solving a problem. It's not that we have to sell, it's that people need to recognize they have a need. So we recommend they put up a briefing or a webinar. Maybe it's chargeable in some cases or free of charge, to say about their particular area, why it's so vital. And I think that's a real soft sell. So that's how they get engaged. Then we do all sorts of other stuff like social media, encourage them to put podcasts, video casts, exactly what we're doing now on specialist subjects to keep things alive. We're also building in now an ability to communicate as a member, create groups and communicate within those groups. We don't want to create noise, but we want to create focused conversations.
So I think the best way to describe is collaboration among the emerging companies, and put your strengths together to win something even bigger. So I think it's an amazing initiative, and the viewers who are listening can reach out to Scale Up Arena and register, take advantage of this. Moving on, you had so many successes in your career, long career. Would you like to share one of the biggest success you have had, and which is very close to your heart? How you accomplished it, what were the challenges you faced, and things like that.
Okay. Well, there's a few. I think strategic partnering with major corporates is the biggest challenge, because there's an awful lot that, I don't know if you're aware of the book, Chandra. There's Uncommon Sense and Common Nonsense.
I've heard about it, but I've not read it.
Yeah, it's an interesting book. And what it basically says is, let's say 80% of people follow the norm. Everybody thinks they've got to copy everybody else. But it's the 20%, the uncommon sense, that is the important thing. And the problem within a lot of corporates, I think, and particularly with partnering, this is important, is they get into groupthink. They start to think that they've arrived. And so strategic partnering is always an interesting one. And I think one of the biggest successes I had was when I was launching in 2006, launching a relationship with a large networking integrator across Europe, part of France Telecom Group. And the challenge was how to overcome this bureaucratic approach to going to market in a major corporate where everybody's in a silo and you've got to get all the approvals to make things happen. Bearing in mind, in the tech space, products are going obsolete every 6 months. You don't have 12 months to make a plan. And the approach I ended up taking, I think, was I'll go ahead and do what I know I need to do, and I'll take the rap later if I get a challenge. And one of the successes there was, one of the early successes was closing a major opportunity in Northern Europe, in the Benelux area. And of course, until we had this deal, it was like, oh, why do we need to bother across Europe? There's loads of other products to sell, blah, blah, blah. But then when we closed this massive deal, all of a sudden, the market lit up. Everybody in the organization wanted us to come and pitch to them, get involved, sell something. And I think that was a really, great success. Another success for me was when I started doing work with India, set up a joint venture with a division of Tata. And so we had my employer, the American company, which was supplying the service for communication on the network of Tata. And so putting that together, it was for me, it was, at the time, it was a new geography. And I'd been, of course, since 2008, been across to India a lot, loved the people, loved the energy. That's why I think the living bridge is so interesting for us. You know, between the UK and India, we have so much to do together. And that went off very successfully, enjoyed that. And as a result, that was not just a success, but opened up a whole new international area for me. I guess another success was when I was chairing a business education charity. And it was all about helping 17, 18-year-olds to set up and run their own business in an academic year at school. And I restructured the local boards into a strategic and an operational board. And in the space of 4 years, we went from having 5 operating companies to 50. And I also ended up with, and I was working with the top 100 companies in that particular geography. I tried to get the corporates involved. So I went to the CEOs, the FDs, and the HR directors. And I had a lot of corporates come to me. And one of the great successes for me was one day, one of those MDs was retiring. And he contacted me and he said, "Oh, I'm just about to retire, Mike. I'd like to do something to help this charity, business education charity." And so he said to me, you know, "What can I do?" And he worked for, I won't mention the brand, but he worked for a company where at a particular time of year, he was asked to get tickets for Wimbledon tennis championships. And people would phone him up, say, "Oh, can you get me this? Can you get me this, Peter?" And so I said, "I tell you what, why don't you help me raise some funds? Because this is the opportunity to reverse the tables. So you can phone up all the people that you've been giving tickets to and say, how about some cash?" So he then came on board and did that. He was our sponsorships director. And so, yeah, that was another big success.
It's so great to learn from leaders like yourself, and I feel that, you know, I'm truly blessed that I have this job, and I learn a lot from leaders like you. You are truly a global leader. You have so much experience and spread. You work with multiple types of companies spread across multiple countries, and so therefore you have so much experience. So from your experience, would you like to share where the industry is going in this decade, considering that your clientele and your partners are spread across the world?
Well, I think in the whole world is going digital. And even in traditional technology, digital is now playing a part. I had a brief spell of running a hydraulics company. And at the time, the CEO of the hydraulics company prided himself, this was only 15 years ago, prided himself on not using email. And a bit like the retail stores who haven't adopted online strategies, what's happening is those companies that are traditional who do not adopt a digital strategy for going to market, for marketing, for growing, are going to struggle. So I think that's one of the big changes that's coming. And thankfully, I've always been at the leading edge of communication, always been in digital. And that's partly where Scale Up Arena is coming from. We're also putting together, rebirthing actually, for SME IT opportunity, which is to help the 80% of companies who reside on the industrial estates of the world who don't touch tech, to optimize that in an efficient and effective way. I think that's the second, so the first one is digital is going everywhere. Second one is traditional technology is going to have to adopt digital. And the third one is, of course, everything is going much faster. You know, if you don't optimize your opportunities in 3 years within the tech market, you deliver or die. And so the pace of change is much quicker, and we can only optimize the opportunities if we use partnering approaches, joint ventures, M&A, cute and smarter routes to market. So that's, you know, I think those are the major changes.
And I think while going through your website, I learned about the investor help also you're giving to the emerging companies.
Mm-hmm.
Would you like to talk about that? How the investor community is going to shape up our future?
Yeah, well, I think obviously, again, taking all the other things into perspective, what happens is that typically a company forms around a technology or a product. And somebody will think, oh, I've got just a solution. I've seen this problem and I can create a product for it. And one of the most important things is to realize that actually it's great having a product, but you've got to find a market. And you've got to address the needs of that market by solving a problem. And that, I think, is probably the area that investors are looking for most, is how do they offset their risk? They're putting their money in, but their risk is reduced massively if they can see traction and go to market. There's every day we see great ideas coming in through the different ecosystems. The only snag is a lot of them say, oh, we're pre-revenue, but we want 500,000. Well, if it was your own money, how would you feel about it? And so I think when companies are approaching investors, they have to think, if this was my money, would I want to invest it? And so the key to that is have a good exec summary. They don't want War and Peace. They don't want 100 pages. They don't have time for 100 pages. What they want to know is that the money's safe. They got a good team. They've got a good proposition. They started to maybe get some traction. Don't start with trying to boil the ocean. You know, if you can't get your local easy connected people to join, how the heck are you going to boil the ocean? So you've got to prove the model in a small way, and then you'll develop. That's what I see happening. And of course, access to funding through global platforms like Scale Up Arena is going to become easier, but the basics are still the same. People are putting their money on to a proposition, and they want to know that they're going to, at least it's going to be safe, and ideally it's going to grow at a sensible rate.
Do you also see growth in more events around the crowdsourcing? Because the rule of the engagement will remain the same. You need to give the comfort feeling to the investors. But do you see crowdsourcing, crowdfunding playing a major role as we go along?
I think it has its place, and it also depends on the objectives of the founders. There's certainly, if you can build up a tribe, as it were, if you can build up a follower base, warm prospects, customers, they are potentially the ones that you can go for. B2C, I think it's much more popular than a B2B environment. That's not to say you can't do it in B2B, but I think there are more efficient ways to raise business funding. If you've got a consumer product, people will, if they're interested, they might go to your site, or you may be able to get profile and traction through Instagram or Facebook, etc. And then you might be able to draw the crowd to help make an investment. But I definitely think it's got a place, but it's more of a place for me in the B2C space than the B2B space.
So thank you very much for giving us all this information and sharing your mantra of success. What is your last message to the budding entrepreneurs who are watching this video?
I think there are three things. One is never give up. Okay, just don't be put off by the naysayers, because there'll always be people who say you can't do it. But you have to have a degree of pragmatism. There might be a time when you have to say we're going to stop. But I think it was in a film where it said, if things aren't yet all right, it's not yet the end. Yeah. And so that's another one. And I do believe, if in doubt, go for it, because you only live once. So if you don't try and achieve your dreams, you're guaranteed you're not going to achieve them.
I think this is a very powerful message, Mike, and I really appreciate coming to this show with you and discussing things about what you have done globally. It was lovely talking to you, Mike.
And you, Chandra, thank you very much for the interview. I've really enjoyed it, and have a great day.
Thank you. Bye-bye.